Good evening. Friday night is the round table night of what-iffery. So welcome one and all to the What If Night Magic. I am your host, MasakoX. And for those of you who don't know, this is your daily opportunity, well, your weekly opportunity, to have your what ifs answered, support the channel, and just see how we are. I am joined by my regular hosts, Haverok.
Hello.
And of course, Sophie B.
Hi.
Yeah, so I hope you all had a really good Thanksgiving and a successful and, most importantly, safe Black Friday out there. And you might notice a little icon up here, which basically is showcasing the limited edition Ranch and Papa t-shirt, which you can just get by clicking the link up top, the thing I've pinned, and you can get that. And if you use the code FRIDIA, until Monday, you can get 20% off. So you can get that. And the reason why it's Fridia is the old Salem wanting to change the title of the way pronounced Friday to Fridia. Yeah. Nick became and man, that his voice is just so good. He was Norb in Angry Bear. Daggy! Alright, my daggy little brother. Oh, Angry Beavers.
Oh, Angry Beavers are so good.
Little daggy. Oh, I think Nick...
You don't start bopping me. I'm gonna bop you into last week.
Oh, an identity so secret, even I don't know who I am. I love that. But yeah, so anyway, let's get on. So all you need to do is leave a super chat because the chat does go by very quickly, and you can get your what if answer. So let's get on with Podo. And this is a humdinger. And I think Sophie had the answer for this. So take it away. What if Bulma was attracted to Oolong?
I'm gonna be honest with you all right now. Had Bulma actually been attracted to me right from the beginning, I feel as if I will be the one to inevitably screw it up. We would wind up having a very fast and passionate romance, but like the candle that burns twice as bright, it would only burn half as long. And eventually, my own negative proclivities would lead Bulma to decide to get with a more serious potential family man. And I would go on my merry way with the fond memories of that sweet girl.
Wow. That's pretty deep there. That's pretty deep for Oolong. Jeez. Oof, that's a big oops right there. Oh man. Let's see. Okay, so the next one, Podo asks another question. I forget. What do you want us to do if we want you to read and critique our what if stories, even chapterly as we write them? Well, I have said before, if you go to the subreddit r/MasakoX, you can leave it there. Chapterly though, it would be a little bit unfair to be, and not really possible that I could read every single chapter, but if I do get time, I can at least read some of it. So that's my opinion of that. Nick Wolf is up next. My last roundtable for a while. I'm gonna make it count. So he's got a 3-parter one here, lads. Nick Wolf says, follow up from last week. Big bad of Saiyan revival arc. Bardock, I gave you a chance to avenge our race, and this is how you repay us? Raichi could be secondary villain, like Dr. Lychee, develops his grudge tech, showing that revival doesn't make pain go away. Also, we see Raditz redeem himself. Plus, we'll see Gine react to great-daughter Pan being younger than Gohan, and delighted about actually getting to see Kaka-chan grow up. So, that's a 3-parter right there. So this is just a little follow-up from what we got there. But the idea of, like, having Dr. Lychee in there, but continuing on the Bardock convince the Saiyans idea. So, I like that, having a Lychee in there using grudge tech. It's not just baby. And
however, the downside is that me and Sophie didn't show Bardock as a possible villain. Because he wouldn't, go all ham, against Kakarot, even when he, didn't approve his lifestyle. Like King Vegeta is more likely to be a body in such series.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely tend to agree because I think that if Bardock did have any kind of like disagreement with his son, like on that sort of level, he would probably just be the type to be like, I'm gonna go on my merry way and don't get in my way, don't interfere with what I decide to do, and we can let bygones be bygones. But then if Goku, if Goku tried to confront him, then they might throw hands. But before then, I don't think he'd really be the big bad type.
Okay. Brother Roger is up next. What if King Kai became the Supreme Kai?
Well, my first royal decree would be basically that if you want to become a potential Supreme Kai, you gotta tell jokes.
Jokes would, yeah, jokes would be in there, and yeah, that pretty much.
Oh, listen, then Shin is a very good candidate because he's a joke.
Oh my! Oh wow! Oh, that burn! That is.
Let's move on from that burn.
Gonna need a senzu for that one.
Seton had one saying, "What if Spopovich actually killed Videl?" And I think you two were talking about this. So, would you like?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, 2 words. Rage boost. It's a pretty easy to see situation where if Spopovich had actually killed Videl, like I could see Gohan outright like losing it because he's already sort of kind of starting to come to terms with how he feels about her during this time period. And so for her to be taken from him right in front of him, I think he'd rage boost. He'd immediately enter Super Saiyan 2. He'd probably even recover a little bit of that lost power thanks to the obvious rage factor. And he'd probably disintegrate Spopovich right there. And so worst case scenario is Yamu sees the power boost, drains his energy, and runs off. But even so, they would obviously, Gohan would recover with the help of a sensu bean or something, and then his rage would be, instead of being all hot and explosive, it would be cold, and it would just be cold fury all the way to Babidi's spacecraft, and you'd be presented with two different options. Either he goes in and he's not playing games and he just wants to eliminate every single threat there and move on to finding the Dragon Balls so he can bring Videl back, or the rage and anger and hatred that's in his heart makes him susceptible to Babidi's magic, and we get Majin Gohan.
Okay, I think that seems like a good combination. But yeah, no, I'm glad it didn't happen because that whole thing really was one of the things that made me angry at Dragon Ball Z. Because how dare Videl be hurt like that? My waifu from back when I was 15.
Again, we know Toriyama hates girls and dogs.
Oh my gosh.
You can't hate doggos, jeez.
Don't hate doggos.
Nick Wolf, what if Guru unlocking Krillin's potential gave him the capability to get Zenkais? And 2, what if Masako, Lani, Grant, and Sophie formed an Ox King barbershop quartet? Well, that first one, instead of like, hello, it's like, do. It would be pretty much like that. But going back to the other one about Krillin getting Zenkais, well, I don't think that's part of being superhuman, and also you can't cherry pick certain things from being a Saiyan.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, because it's one of those situations where it's like part of the aspect of their latent potential comes from something that's possible for them to achieve on their own. They're just getting a bit of a boost, If a human isn't genetically predisposed to having that kind of potential to Zenkai boost, then I don't see how unlocking that potential would in any way affect that,
Okay. I mean, that exactly. I'd say you can't pick and choose things you like. So that's the thing. You can't just go, I like that, I don't like that. I like that. That's basically MacGuffin at the extreme. Meat Slayer. What if 2 Metamore infusions used the Patara? I don't. I think I said this before, but I'm gonna use the sound. It would be gory. Because if you think
Yeah.
about it, like, if you say for 2 Metamora infusions, they're fused for 30 minutes. They go and make a Batara. That lasts for an hour. So what happens inside? So you could easily end up with kind of like a mishmash of things. Or you could just have the really boring thing that they just defuse early. Or when they defuse from the Patara, they end up as 4 people. But I'm guessing that...
And very mentally unstable individual.
Yeah, like
it's
too many people.
Easier to fuse, like with the Dragon Ball fusions, the ultimate fusion thingy. It's much easier because they are fused by the same technique, but those 2 techniques may create something very unstable.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, and I mean, even if they didn't, like even if it wasn't there wasn't an instability factor to it, the best case scenario is that you just wind up with a time limit because, you know, with the Potara retcon, we know that both forms of fusion have a time limit to them.
Yeah.
That would be the best case scenario, but I mean, worst case scenario is that the whole thing starts to collapse and stuff like that, especially if you were working on previously established canon with Potara being permanent. So it's like the magic's trying to split the inner portions of them apart while the Potara is working against that. It'd be like an implosion.
Yeah, it'd be pretty gnarly.
Especially if
I'm
you
thinking-
have a Kai in this mix. That would be messy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't end well. Margaret Evans is, what if Cell got out of dodge after exploding? So, I think that means when Cell blew up. Okay, so basically when he blew up at King Kai's planet, instead of going back to Earth, if he just like, screw that, I'm just gonna go.
He just
Go. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go and travel the stars. You know? Let them all stew and let him the assumption, and then a few years later I may go, bah, surprise kids, I didn't die.
I tried.
JK not dead, lol.
It'd just be a few years later.
And he has that, you know, like Ginny in Return of Jafar. He has that, you know, goofy cap, Hawaiian shirt, you know, that huge bag with souvenirs. You know, like this flag, visit Yardrat.
Hey there, guys, what did I miss? It's like pretty much like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like that. And then Margaret Evans again with what if Imperfect Cell had pretended to be good? I don't think that Imperfect Cell could do that. Perfect Cell could. Perfect Cell could pretend, say, I am so sorry for seeing the error of my ways. But Imperfect Cell, he was driven by instinctive lusts and desires. Yes, I've got to find my brother and sister. I am a bug. I must procreate. Yeah, he had those instinctive desires which overrode any kind of sense of rationale. So, I don't think it would work in that, but in Perfect Cell, he could pretend. He'd be more likely to pretend, as he is quite charismatic. So I think it'd be working at that, but in Perfect Cell, if he had, I don't think people would trust him because there would have been too much intel known about him. So I think that the cat would have been out the bag, pretty much. Podo, like,
why do you feel like Frieza a little bit?
Oh, trust me, don't worry. I toned that way down. Podo, what if Goku had beaten Cell with a ring out?
He would be mad. Oh, Cell would be mad.
I honestly think that all that would have happened is the fighting would have continued, but it would have continued solely because of the fact that like Cell's pride had been wounded. The Frieza and Vegeta parts of him would have like completely and totally amplified his whole hatred aspect, and he would have probably tried to rage quit.
Basically, he would go that, you know, that huge blow up thing when what you guys in TFS did. What did you just said to me? I don't want to use words that we don't use on this stream, so he would go like that much earlier.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So next up is Meat Slayer. What if DBZ was more Western influenced culturally? Well, it already kind of is quite a bit, actually. But if it was even more so, then you might have Goku in a high school. He might have a crush on Chi-Chi. People wouldn't really like him so much. And they might call him Geeko. and that kind of stuff. And,
Oh, wait.
wait a minute.
There wouldn't be a Krillin,
Oh, wow.
you know.
No, there wouldn't be a Krillin. No Nappa or Vegeta. No, you get rid of them. The Asian stereotypes would be even more blatant. And CGI hand farts, pretty much. Yeah. There you go. So that's what it would be like. Okay.
Good thing that this isn't a reality that we live in.
No, of course not. No, definitely not. I'm glad that never happened.
Yeah,
Nick
it's
Wolf,
good.
what if Pilaf and Boss Rabbit were one character in an LA film? So basically, once upon a time in Dragon World, it'd be these two baddies lamenting their past glories. It's like, it's not the same anymore. These people nowadays, they can like just throw laser beams in people's directions. What was the days of when we could just be conniving and deceitful and trick young people into doing what we desire?
Ah, yes, I remember that day. I had a Dragon Ball once, you know.
Oh yes, well I could turn them into carrots. We could have disguised them. We could have ruled the world. I could have turned the Dragon Balls into carrots. Nobody would have known. And it's like,
And you have everybody wants to rule the world.
yeah,
Pilaf and Monster Carrot, the musical.
exactly. There you go. That. Okay. Nick Wolf again. Inspired by GT Raditz, what if GT was after Boo, with the Grand Tour consisting of Bulma, Kid Goku, and Kid Vegeta? Then use the DB Super from the Spirit in Time to age up after Baby. Okay, so basically... Oh, so you have the Grand Tour bit, then you use the Room of Spirit in Time to age Goku and Vegeta up for 50 years. Wow.
Oh,
okay.
dear gosh.
It's just like, oh, no, okay, not 50, like 30 years. So, like, you spend 30 years or something, or at the very least 10.
Well, yeah, just enough to get them back up to where they're adults again, like at least adult looking again.
Yeah. I mean, that would be an idea, and it would only take like maybe a couple of weeks. But yeah, I get the feeling that I know Bulma would be very happy. Bulma would certainly be very happy.
The hard thing is trying to make sure that neither of them get so frustrated with one another if they're going in at the same time to age back up, that they don't get so frustrated with one another that they accidentally end up killing each other or destroying the way out.
No, absolutely. And whoa, we got a big one from the
It's
Nerd
the King of
King.
Nerd
Nerds.
King again.
Oh,
Be
thank you.
ready to sing the Nerd King's anthem. Here's the nerdiest of all kings.
Nerd
It's the
King,
Nerd King.
Nerd King.
Nerd King.
Nerd King.
Oh, nerdiest king also has had a right to. Oh, hey, Nerd King. Anyway, what he actually said was, "Hello, wanted to wish you all a wonderful Christmas and you all great welcome. Thanks for the content. I got a question. What if Goku landed in a medieval magical themed world, like became a knight, some kind of Sir Goku? P.S. The ranch plush says hi." Oh, cool. Because he got a ranch plush that was commissioned. So thank you so much, Nerd King. And one thing I'd tell you is that it wouldn't end up being like Sonic and the Black Knight. No. I'd use all the characters in there and actually give them proper backstories instead of just having them. Oh, hey, it's just like Knuckles, just with like armor. Nice.
Unavoidable chin move.
Yeah, exactly like that. So yeah, that's the long of the short of it is really. He'd want to know where the meatery was, because it's a castle. Piccolo.
There have been quite a few fantasy settings that have Goku sort of esque characters, in that they have this sort of heroic bent to them, but they're mostly just kind of out for personal reasons. But for the most part, they're a good person. They're just a little on the slow side. I'd say, like, if you wanted a pretty decent idea of it, you could look to various different anime, like for example, like Beat the Vandal Buster and stuff like that, for an idea of how a sort of Goku-esque character might be in that sort of situation.
Okay.
But I think I think he would definitely be one of those jack of all trades kind of characters. Because I mean, Goku, he takes techniques. Like everybody knows this. So he'd be going around from point to point, and like part of the plot would be that with like every boss he defeats, almost like Mega Man style, he gets like a new weapon skill, or he gets a new special power that he learns. And his big thing would be when he finally multiclassed into magic, because then he'd get himself something similar to the Kamehameha for his signature move.
He would be a warrior monk, I think.
No, that's good. But anyway, thank you, Nerd King, for that.
Also, to return for a moment to Nick Wolves, because we didn't finish that one up. I wanted to say, so I wouldn't be afraid, because I always think that this scuffle, the modern scuffle between Goku and Vegeta, is more like they don't get along when they have audience, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
When they are one-on-one, they work much better when nobody sees them. So I think that without an audience, they would have to get along.
Yeah, no.
I can see that.
Yeah, you kind of get that vibe when they train for 3 years, in the time chamber then. But yeah. So Red Dragon Force 2. What if we sensed when the Z Sword was broken and contacted Elder Kai about what had happened? Learning of mortals in the Supreme Kai's world. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, thanks, dude.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, that's a good point, actually. But, I mean, Whis would have sensed it, because, he would have been there when Beerus actually did the deed. So he'd be like, oh, really? Oh, really? Looks like that Z-Sword finally broke. But then again, at the same time, it probably would have been that long ago, and Whis probably had no gripe. He'd be just like, he'd have noticed and go like, looks like he managed to get himself out of there. Good for him. And I think that's how it would have gone. But he probably would have kept an eye on it. If he could sense it, he'd have kept an eye on it and observed it. And if it
I don't think these are the levels of power to attract Whis' interest yet.
Well, maybe. He'd be keeping an eye on it only because he'd be bored because Beerus was asleep. So that's the only reason he would even pay it any time of day. But he wouldn't do anything. He'd basically just be going like, that's kind of neat. But that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
Red Dragon Force 2 again. Dragon Master 369 asks, what if Piccolo went giant to fight Gohan as an Ozaru? Personally, I think it's a nice idea from the danger of Ozaru. Now you see, I'm actually surprised he didn't do that.
Same, exactly.
I mean, that's the thing. It feels like that's a missed opportunity. Because that would have been really cool. But I know that when Piccolo goes giant, it really hurts him. It causes a lot of pain. So maybe it's at that point where he feels like, I don't really want to do this because my life's not in danger yet. And then he decided, I think, had he not thought of blowing up the moon, he probably would have resorted to doing it.
Yeah.
So basically, it'd be like he would go giant if it didn't occur to him to then turn to blow up the moon. He probably might have been able to restrain him, but only because of his size. But if Gohan got like a proper thing, then, it would have been noticed. Okay.
Yeah, well, and then of course there's also the cynical end that Toriyama probably just forgot.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, don't worry, Nene. I see your super chat.
I was responding to that as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
You might just have to wait a little bit. We do have a list, but we will get through it as quickly as we can. Okay, so next one is Nick Wolf again. What if Zamasu was Universe 6's Kai, and his existential crisis came from seeing Kale and Caulifla? If Saiyans can grow stronger than Kais, what's the point of Kais? I mean, that might have been like a more specific thing. I mean, a bit more convenient because, once again, Saiyans are at the focus of some kind of crisis. I mean, I think, honestly, that would have set a lot of people off by going, oh my god, what is it with Saiyans and being at the center of everything? It's like,
well, what's funny is that...
It's like,
no, go ahead.
It's like with McGonagall. Every time I hear about something, it's always you three. It's like...
it's always you three.
Like...
Well, and that's the funny thing too, is that when you break it down, that almost kind of is his reasoning, even in canon. Is because, like, he sees of course he sees the viciousness of like the barbarian race, right? But the thing that really sets him off is when he, in his own Kai-like arrogance, faces off against Goku and loses handily.
Yeah.
And he's just like, mortals suck.
That was pretty much the tipping point. It was like because he lost. So had he probably would have observed and would go like, ugh, that's weird. But if they hadn't actually actively come to his domain and defeat him, it probably would have just been like a deep-seated resentment, and then that would.
And to be fair, at this point there are non-Saiyan characters who could beat them as well, him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Heartless Fang. What if Goku's origins were based on a Batman allegory rather than a Superman allegory? Witnessing his parents' murder, swearing vengeance, etc. Well, I
imagine little Goku going with Bardock in Guinea to see the mask of Zorro, you know. And of course they had to be perils, you know, the space perils, and you see Frieza taking the perils, you know,
and some random Frieza soldier.
Yeah. Yeah, Frieza soldier taking the perils.
And then Goku would have just been like, da 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 da.
And then it turns out
Krilla's Robin. Yeah.
Then it turns out that Future Trunks attempted to go back in time and stop the death of Goku's parents, but the world turned out worse, so he had to go back in time again and get his parents killed.
Yeah,
a la Teen Titans Go.
And Roshi is now Alfred.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think Roshi would ever call Goku Master Goku or Master Son.
No. That's true. The Mango Robot. What if Cooler or Frieza turned good? Yes. These two characters, unfortunately, are characters which I don't think would turn good, because there's just... even if they did, it would be so forced and hackneyed that it would just not really sit well. The only way I could make it work is through an April Fool what if, and even then that would be a bit of a stretch. But
this was what was this one's question?
What if Cooler or Frieza turned good?
No.
We did kind of address that in the last one when we talked about how you could come up with a story, but the primary onus of it would have to be a battle within Frieza's mind about like, because I wouldn't want the question for that one was, what if they wished him to become good, like against his will? And so the whole thing was that his evil side starts to pop back up, and so he has to learn the technique from Piccolo that the nameless Namekian used to split himself into Kami and Demon King Piccolo.
Yeah.
And then they fight each other. But I think that's about the only way you could really get it to work, because they are really the epitome of characters in the series that are just evil to the core. Like
they are genetically engineered to be evil, essentially.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That is their reason.
Which was hinted in the promo material for the Broly movie.
Yeah. We'll wait and see if there is a movie. Depends on what Ryo Horikawa was tweeting. Wait, what? Yeah, no, Ryo Horikawa, he put out a tweet, and it was like, I had a meeting with Toei. The contents, I can't tell you. #Dragon Ball. Like,
oh wow, that is cheeky.
Dragon Ball Heroes, the movie.
It's
no,
it's for the latest episode of Super Dragon Ball Heroes, where Vegeta gets mind controlled again.
I would be so upset.
The Mango Robot. What if Broly was sent to Earth instead of Goku?
Play the music.
It would not end well, because at the slightest provocation, and anyone giving him a carrot as a baby, Kakarot, boom, dead. The planet would be scorched. Like, not enough to blow up the planet, but it would be incinerated, pretty much, by a crying infant. Pretty much.
Yeah.
It would not end well. Because Grandpa Gohan, if he found Broly, Broly would have iced him almost instantly. Because Goku with a power level of 2 was a bit of a handful, you know. Broly with a power level of 10,000, no.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, there's a very distinct implication there that Paragus, who has a power level of like 4,600, which is far and away more powerful than any of the villains or good guys of Dragon Ball, all the way up through like Raditz and the Cybermen, and kind of rivaling Nappa's official power levels, which are listed as 4,000 or 6,000 depending on your source. Paragus is implied to have at least nearly died to Broly on at least one occasion. And so with that implication in mind, it's like, yeah, if Broly lost control at all, the Earth would be roasted.
Yeah, it would be pretty much. Unfortunately, so. MR Manifesto. I got 2. What if Thundercats themes or elements were in Dragon Ball Z and Super? And what if Super Broly fought Jiren? Who do you think would win? I think
Thundercats.
Well, the first one is the Super Broly fighting Jiren. I think Broly would have won to the point where he goes completely anarchic. Jiren has absolute strength, but you know, it probably would have ended up actually being really, really destructive. Jiren would have actually thrown a fit, and then Broly would have just gotten even more out of control. The entire arena would have been destroyed. So I think it would have either ended as a draw, or Broly would have just overpowered Jiren. Pretty much.
Yeah, more than likely. Because I mean, we all know that Ultra Instinct Goku, and we don't have an accurate way of scaling Ultra Instinct Goku's power, but we do know that while Ultra Instinct Goku was putting up a very good fight against Jiren. Jiren did have that power boost when he made his comeback against Frieza at the end there. And I mean, I honestly think that Jiren's probably on a level where he wouldn't be able, while he's powerful, he wouldn't be able to go toe to toe with Vegito Blue.
No.
And Broly was matching Vegito Blue, like for the most part of the early part of their fight. But as it went on, like then Vegito Blue got into it, and then he just dominated the rest.
Gogeta.
Gogeta. I'm sorry, Vegito.
Nah, that's
Gogeta.
right. Well,
Fusions.
To be fair, their personalities are pretty much the same now. It's just one's wearing a vest and the other one's not, pretty much.
And as for the bit about Thundercats 2011, I never saw Thundercats 2011. I wanted to, but then they canceled it really quickly, I recall, because it didn't do very well. And all I have to say with regard to Thundercats is that I think it would be interesting if we had more sorceress villains in Dragon Ball Z at the very least. Like Mumra from Thundercats is one of my favorite old-timey cartoon sorcerer type big bads. And I think that that's an element that everybody can get behind, is that we're always seeing like new villains and antagonists that are just like super powerful. I want to see them who are just like, I'm a magician and I'm going to make you suffer in ways that you could never imagine without even physically touching you.
Yeah. No, that'd be really cool. We need more magic in Dragon Ball. Manifesto again, another for you. What if already good Dabura was brought back for the Tournament of Power instead of Frieza? And what if Super Broly or 17 fought Moro? Jeez, Manifesto, you're throwing in a lot. You're being very cheeky. But we still supposed to get this one. Alright, so if good Dabura was back in the Tournament of Power, his power level is the equivalent of Super Saiyan 2, and also, when he turns good, does he still have that power? Or is it gone? Or does he just not have the information to fight?
He seems to be a pacifist at this point.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, not only does he seem to be a pacifist, Babidi makes the statement on a couple of different occasions that a lot of Dabura's power comes from his evil. That's one of the reasons why, in preparation for the battle with the Saiyans who are on the midst of arriving, he goes into the meditation chamber to concentrate all of his evil energies. So if he gets purified and becomes a good soul, there's a very good chance that a lot of his strength would have diminished because of that. Especially when you consider the fact that, I mean, he's supposed to be a Makai. He was basically presented as being the Makaio Shin. He's supposed to be like the opposite number essentially to Shin. and so for him to be transformed into a good character robs him of everything that he is supposed to exist for.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of loses his identity. So if he was brought back, he'd probably be saying, "Oh no, thank you. I'm much more be past that." So basically he'd be like, "Oh no, I wouldn't be willing to fight like that. I'm way beyond that, thank you. I'd rather just go, dance around the daisies and all that kind of stuff." It'd be funny, but it would be like, well, that was a bust. Pretty much. It'd be a hiding to nothing, but it would make for a very funny scene. Pretty much. And then, what if Super Broly or 17 fought Moro? Well, the fact that 17 would be interesting, because he does not have natural energy, so Moro would actually have a bit of a problem. I mean, Moro doesn't... I mean, Moro could overpower him, but for a long time, he'd be, like, getting angry and angry. You're like, why can't I absorb your energy? And it'd be just like, 17 would make some major quip, and, I don't think it would be enough to beat Moro, but it would certainly
I think it would
anger
be
him.
Similar to how he fought Majin Buu, and Moro would devise a new strategy. Because
he'd have to...
Thing that I liked about Moro in the manga is like he changes the strategy based on the opponent. If you notice it, like he would change strategy
he'd have to adapt it.
A synthetic being. Speaking of Broly, like in raw power, Broly would beat him into a pulp. But I think Moro would be aware that this is a powerful being and would tweak Broly somehow.
Easily.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah, stronger, much stronger than Moro, but outsmart him totally. And John Coleman. When Bardock was given the vision to see his end, what if instead he saw his son's life, and he talked Guinea into going to Earth with him? When they arrived on Earth, they meet Grandpa Gohan and raised him. Okay, so basically, it's similar to what the Guinea what if Guinea went with Goku to Earth, just with a slightly different motivation for Guinea to go. So instead of Guinea going by accident, it's Bardock having a vision and basically saying, "Hey, go and take Kakarot and go with him." That's the only difference. But it'd be a noble thing, like, hey, I don't want you getting mixed up in this. You'll only get... And with Bardock being the tsundere that he is, you'd only get in the way. You and the boy are so weak, you'd get in the way. Just go. But Guinea would know exactly what he was talking about, and like say, "Oh my god, he is so sweet." Like he'd see.
Why don't you add Baka to the end of that, Bardock?
Baka Yarrow and stuff like that. Slight blush without Guinea looking.
I live for Sun Bardock.
No, Solo Warrior, by the way, your super chat, I do see it. It is coming up very shortly, so don't worry, we will get to yours. Okay, right. Manifesto, again. What if Piccolo actually saved Gohan from Nappa's blast instead of standing in front of it and taking it? Or at least telling Gohan to dodge? Yeah, because it's funny, because in the movies, you see him do that. It's like he learnt from that. It's like, well, I'm not letting that happen again. Just like, doink. That's Piccolo's lack of experience, because to be fair, he's only like 6. He's only 6 years... No, he's only like 9 years old. So he's a bit naive like that. But, okay, so if Piccolo actually was able to just about, knock it away, he'd probably be very, very badly hurt. But, he would still be alive, but he probably wouldn't be alive for much longer. It'd be like, Nappa would wail on him. Yeah, but...
Well, and there's also the greater aspect of it, which is if Piccolo had just saved Gohan, right, and hadn't died, there's a very distinct possibility that, barring them feeling that it was necessary to try and find new Dragon Balls solely because they wanted to resurrect Chaozu, because he wouldn't have been resurrectable, barring on that occasion, if they didn't go to Namek following up on the Saiyan saga, Frieza likely would have gotten his wish on the Namekian Dragon Balls, and that would have spelled danger for the whole universe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I know that this would be a little cruel, but Like, come on, guys, we need to gather the Dragon Balls to resurrect Tien's weird doll.
It would have
Again.
been a
Oh,
bit tenuous.
that's so mean.
It'd be like, oh, must we? Like that kind of stuff. Paparacha. What if Super came out in 96 and GT 2015? I think if Super came out in 96, it probably would have been received better. It probably would have been received better then, coming off the back of Z. You'd have to have Super start, like, the Peaceful World saga would have to be cut. And then
maybe we would have Goten and Trunks growing because they didn't mind it back then. Actually,
Yeah.
if Super was released back then, it could have been better because they could go further with some of the plot points, with some
I
ideas.
think so.
Yeah, I agree.
And with GT coming out in 2015, it probably would have been even more ridiculed. It probably would have killed franchise.
Possibly. Well, especially if people weren't very satisfied with it, because I mean, if we got Super exactly as it is now, right? Let's assume they didn't make any kind of like improvements because of the time that it was made. If we had Super back then, but exactly as it is now, I think a lot of people would have been dissatisfied because in a lot of ways they have watered down the content of Dragon Ball in order to appeal not only to a broader audience but to the ideas of how a shonen show should be in the modern era. Like, you don't see nearly as much blood or dismemberment or even just outright like on-screen full-on death as you see in the old as you see in the old show. And there's a lot there to kind of unpack. And I also think that with GT being fresh back then and people really being into only one thing from it, Super Saiyan 4, for them to bring out Super and then not include Super Saiyan 4, I think would have really nettled people.
No, I agree with that. Pretty much, it'd be quite interesting, very interesting. Robmar34, what if Goku was the only Saiyan? Well, if he was the only Saiyan, then there wouldn't really be much adventure in space, because there would have been no Raditz. If he was the only Saiyan left, there'd be no Vegeta, there'd be no Raditz, there'd be no Nappa. There'd literally. It would have just carried on Earth. It probably would have just gotten really stale, really, because there's King Piccolo.
That's until Babidi shows up and
grew up, as it were. I think more than likely we just would never have seen Babidi arrive on Earth during Goku's lifespan, and it would have more or less just stayed the way it was, if it even bothered to continue. Because I'll be honest, like, without the Saiyan threat and the threat from the greater space, right? We really don't have any more threats on Earth.
Androids
to deal with.
The
androids.
And much weaker androids.
Yeah, no, much weaker. Still a challenge, but much weaker.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And Goku wouldn't have had the heart virus because he wouldn't have gone into space. So.
And nobody would have been Super Saiyan.
No, exactly. Oh, well, Goku eventually, but he would have had to have discovered it, like, by accident.
Well, and that's assuming that he's managed to make enough gains and get enough Zenkai during a peaceful period of time to hit that kind of power threshold and then experience something traumatic enough to trigger that transformation.
Yeah, again.
But Sophie, like imagine, you know, that you have you have new sagas like the return of Monster Carrot, you know, the revenge of Monster Carrot, and he gains Super Saiyan because Monster Carrot is back and he turns Krillin into a carrot and eats him, and then Goku goes Super Saiyan.
Ooh, that'd be funny. And
Revenge of Pilaf.
The Revenge of Monster Carrot sounds kind of hilarious and could probably be an April Fool's what if.
Alright, Manifesto again. What if Goku trained both Pan and Oob together? Also, Goku has instant transmission. Why not just go back and forth between Goku's home and Oob's? Because Goku doesn't think that way. That's why. He thinks, oh, well, I'm gonna go and train. Doesn't mean I have to come visit. That's like, oh well, I'm going, bye. So
Bye, son.
that's the thing. That wasn't on the cards for Toriyama. He was just thinking, okay, I'm ending this. We're gonna have it like that. I don't care about anything else. I'm over. Goodbye. Pretty much. It was his way of just getting out. And with really, Pan wasn't really on his radar at the time. He was training her, yeah, sure, because, you know, convenient, and she's there. But, you know, that wasn't his main focus. It was just because, you know, passes the time. And at that point, Goku was in a bit of a malaise. Like, he hadn't really seen anyone for years. So he was just a bit like in a funk, really.
It was him and Goten because I guess he was here.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, manifesto's like that. Paparazzi, what if Boo's egg was under Mount Paozu? Margin Chi-Chi? Unfortunately, Chi-Chi's power, I mean, it would be a very, very interesting narrative experiment. But in terms of power, she'd had to get really strong for that. And it'd be very conflicting in Goku having to fight his wife and actually having to go Super Saiyan. But it really depends on how much power that Babidi would need to help pump Chi-Chi up to the level of being able to fight against the Saiyans. It depends.
The domestic violence saga.
Oh.
Well, and also, the question also kind of assumes that Chi-Chi would have enough evil in her heart to become like a Majin.
She doesn't have. She doesn't really.
Yeah, she isn't an evil person. She really isn't. She cares about her family and she loves her.
Self-righteous, but
she's sometimes too good. That's her problem.
Yeah,
she's sometimes too good.
Yeah, she's self-righteous, of course, but yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think it would work that way. Just, again, you need to have enough evil to be able to be used. So, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Solar Warrior, I see you were on Geeks for Fun. Did you watch the videos I recommended? I'm sorry, Solar, I didn't get to see the videos. But, yeah, on Geeks for Fun, I was part of a What If the Norse Gods Were in Dragon Ball? Malik was on that, too. So, if you check out that video, that was a lot of fun. Goku fighting Thor.
Very cool.
That was really neat. So do check that out. The Mango Robot again. What if Pan showed her true potential in GT? Well, what if Toriyama can actually write her properly, or at least the Toei execs that can do it? You know, the Toei execs,
I wish.
that was not their intention, unfortunately. Their intention was to keep Goku as relevant as possible.
They'd rather make gags about a deer attempting to nurse from her.
Yeah, right?
God,
let's move
such
on.
cringe.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Paparazzi, what if Cooler kept Goku? So basically, okay. So if Cooler, for example, decided, is that a Saiyan pod? I'ma take it. And then just like that. And like, oh, looks like my baby brother didn't get this Saiyan. I'm just going to keep this Saiyan out of spite and make him part of my elite squadron.
Make him hate Frieza and make...
Yeah, no, make him hate...
You know, that would almost...
I like it. I really like it.
It could be a companion piece.
Yeah.
It could be a companion piece to something similar to like what you did with What If Frieza Saw Vegeta's Potential.
Yeah.
Because Frieza would have his little pet Saiyan, and Cooler would have his little pet Saiyan, and they would fight them as if they were Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay, let's make a note of it.
Yeah. I
Alright.
like this.
Cameron Heaton. What if Goku and Chi-Chi had septuplets? Oof. What if future Trunks stayed in the past after his fight with Frieza? And can you Oh, okay.
What if Goku and Chi-Chi had septuplets? And what if future Trunks stayed in the past after his fight with Frieza? Oof. That's a big oof.
Oh, I feel bad for Chi-Chi. But I suppose septuplets because 7 Dragon Balls. The 4th child, the actual literal middle child, will be the one with potential because the 4-star Dragon Ball, yuck.
Yuck.
So basically like that. Future Trunks, if he stayed in the past, if he did, he'd have to be really heartless. So he's like, oh, this is cool. Screw the future. I'm just going to stay here. Everyone would be like, Trunks, should we go back? No, they're just fine. It's just my mom. He'd literally be leaving his mum to die. And it's just like...
Oh, no.
That's the thing.
It's just my mom and some old guy in a submarine, you know?
You know, that's the thing. He wouldn't do that. But if he did,
you guys have country music.
like he'd go back into the future and bring his mum back, and that's it. At the least.
Okay.
And Telemachus, DBZ in medieval times. We have covered that, Telemachus. So that question earlier pretty much has been covered. Erebus Avalon, thank you very much for the contribution without a message. The original Dragon Ball gang. April Fool's What If? What if the TFS version of the Dragon Ball gang met their official versions? Sounds like a very fun scenario. Fun, but problematic.
Fun, problematic, and I'll be quite honest. I honestly think that the TFS versions could take them, and I think that they'd be a lot more no-nonsense about it, barring maybe Goku because he's so silly.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the long and the short of it, really. There's just a lot. There's a lot of variables in that one, but yeah.
Yeah.
Manifesto. What if Gohan or Goten took after some of Chi-Chi's traits, i.e., her fiery temper and control over the family? He kind of does already with the rage boosts. Maybe one would stand up to her and have equal ground with her if Chi-Chi always got angry. So like Gohan and Goten. Gohan with the rage boost, you could argue that he kind of did. With the, just the way he would flare up, because Chi-Chi flares up. So maybe it was an interesting mix of how Saiyan DNA mixed with Chi-Chi's, own personality and persona.
That would be awesome if Goten, without, with him being polite, without raising his voice, he could just get Chi-Chi in place, like Chi-Chi, is doing all that stuff with fighting. Mom, please stay calm.
Yeah, he'd be the...
And that cinnamon ball smile and devil in his eyes,
Yeah, he wouldn't need to shout or anything like that.
Yeah.
He'd get his way just with cold, calculated stuff.
Why am I hearing Latin chanting?
Yeah.
Nene Sword. What if Goku used Super Saiyan 3 against Majin Vegeta? Well, if he did, he probably would have beaten Majin Vegeta before Buu would have had enough energy to have been released. But it would have probably meant that Goku would have burnt through all of his energy. So that means he would not have been there to help out with any of the cleanup duty. Not that they would probably need to. It would be very risky, but I think Gohan could take Babidi. But he'd have to be very
probably.
careful. Piccolo and Gohan could have taken out Babidi before, maybe with 99% of Buu's power left. So you just need to you'd need to find some way of transporting the ball to another location. And Shin could do that with Kai with the instantaneous movement.
Yep.
And just take it somewhere else. So probably if he did, Goku and then Majin Vegeta probably would have been his pride would have been burnt forever, pretty much.
Yep.
At that point, at his most evil, Goku still beat him. That's the thing.
Yeah. He would have probably come out of that a broken man.
Oh, totally.
Even more so.
Cell games.
Yeah.
Then Warrior D13. What if Yamcha gets fed up with being the joke and decides to become the villain after the Dragon Ball Super, the Tournament Power? We kind of get a segment of that at the end of Xenoverse 2, with that thing of he suddenly goes evil and then suddenly goes "Hey, you guys don't take me seriously," and then he has that weird, gaping mouth face before you fight him.
And he is powerful. That's one of the best things Xenoverse did. Hands down.
Pretty much.
I did love the joke fight.
That was funny, and I think that pretty much that would happen. Jacob Van Eerden. What if Baba warned the Z Fighters about after Goku and Chi-Chi got married, and so had 5 years to prepare for Raditz and the other future threats to come? Well, Baba doesn't really intervene unless she has to, because.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't interfere. And also, it'd be there'd be no reason to. Because there are so many variables to have. There'd be so many variables going on that, honestly, Baba wouldn't get involved because it requires a lot of work. And also, how would she just somehow stumble upon the fact that she has to then suddenly... that it's Goku's brother? She wouldn't know that. The only thing that she could possibly know is that a space guy is coming to Earth. What the connection is, she doesn't know. That's at most. And they wouldn't know about the power. So they could be training, and they could probably still not be strong enough to beat Raditz. So not enough evidence, and also Barber's just not that proactive. Okay, Jesse Gulf. What if Dr. Giro did nothing wrong? Okay, so basically if Dr. Giro went about his whole way of improving humanity through technology without, kidnapping teenagers, he probably would have actually been a really pioneering scientist. He would have had some really cool ideas without being a mad scientist and everything.
He probably would be a helpful asset to Goku and the rest during Android Saga or Z. Like, I'm pretty sure Dr. Briefs would be friends with him.
Yeah, if he turned the other cheek and wasn't as resentful at them about, the whole thing of the Red Ribbon Army.
No, but if he has to be good, the whole Red Ribbon Army thing has to be like he is not in Red Ribbon Army.
Okay. Yeah.
He never joined it. His son never joined it. Like in this version, he must not be a member of Red Ribbon Army. He made different life choices.
Yeah, because I see Jiro. He has this kind of pride baked into his character, kind of like similar in many ways to someone like Vegeta, who, if he was part of the Red Ribbon Army and Goku did destroy it, I can't see him ever like forgiving Goku for that, because the Red Ribbon Army was kind of something that he was very proud of. But if he never joined the Red Ribbon Army, I could see him being a force for good if he applied himself in the right areas,
Yeah. True. Seton Tube. What if Goku ran for president in 2020? Oof.
Bacon for all!
Pretty much. But we're vegetarian!
Okay. Vegetarian bacon.
But we're vegan! Vegan bacon?
Kevin Bacon?
So pretty much just like that, it'd be bacon, pretty much. And
Kevin Bacon, mightiest hero.
Every child gets free martial arts training.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mr. Sun, you're polling very well right now, except for with a particular bit of your constituents. They are demanding that you cease eating bacon.
You
take that back.
He pressed the button. The button.
Yeah. And stop kidnapping children from villages to train them.
Bombastic Blade Diamonds next. A what if fusion? What if the Z movies were canon and the three villain Saiyans, Raditz, Snapper, and Broly, all turned good at their points in the story? Okay, so if all the Z movies were canon and the three villain Saiyans, so if Raditz turned good, he probably would have seen probably done like some kind of shrewd tactic or something like that. Join sides. The Nappa probably would have taken like Nappa's opportunity. So basically, all the the ones that I did pretty much. So if they all turn good, well, Raditz would have been around, adding a little bit of extra assistance, like I do in the What If Raditz Turned Good movie edition. Nappa again, more assistance, probably from like movie two onwards, from World's Strongest. He'd be quite handy. Broly, he would have completely. There would be no Broly Second Coming and no Bio Broly. On maybe a Bio Broly, maybe
Bio Broly.
Maybe a Bio Broly if there was a battle or somehow they found the blood, and then Broly would be fighting Bio Broly.
I've always kind of wondered why they haven't tried doing that a bit more in the mainline series when it comes to the whole concept of like cloning one of the Saiyans. I remember that Toyotaro's Dragon Ball AF was heavily invested in that whole thing with the main villain Zycor or whatever. But it's something that's always intrigued me, because you'd think that with the number of possible like science antagonists available in some way, shape, or form, that more people would consider, like, what if I just like took Goku or Vegeta or Gohan's DNA and made my own Saiyan?
listen, like, look out, because there are hints that the next movie is going to be direct sequel to Broly. So who knows? We may get Dragon Ball Super Bio Broly, and they somehow make it decent.
Yeah, man, what if Frieza? Who's
cloned
upset
Broly,
because what if Frieza cloned Broly because Frieza really wants Broly to be a part of his force to use him against Goku and Vegeta?
Oh, technicalities. Ooh. Paparazzi. What if Krillin went to Ox to train instead of Roshi? Okay, so if he found the Ox King, he probably would not like Krillin at that time. At that time, Krillin is a jerk, and the Ox King really does not like jerks. He probably would have been, if he found a way, if Krillin had done his homework and just basically sucked up to the Ox King, he probably would have been found out. Like, the Ox King would have probably smelt that there was some bull going on. And, like, probably...
Especially if he showed up with the same satchel that he had in mind to gift to Roshi, but attempted to gift it to the Ox King. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, basically, if he thought the same thing would work, he'd probably say, like, he probably would just told him to get out.
Yeah. I want you to leave my mountain and don't come back.
I don't want my daughter being subjected to that material.
Pretty much.
Because unlike you, I can smell trouble.
And you reek of it. Nolan Dewey. What if Goku never existed, died in a pod crash?
So what if Goku never existed?
Yeah.
That would mean, Demon King Piccolo would have won.
Yeah, Demon King Piccolo would have won because, well, no, Pilaf. If he died in the pod, if he died in the pod crash, Pilaf would have won. He'd have gotten the Dragonballs. Roshi would have been killed. And then Raditz.
Red Ribbon Army would have taken the balls from Pilaf somehow because
but
he's
then
incompetent.
That is until Raditz shows up.
That's
exactly what I was gonna say.
Yes.
Until when he finds that the Kakarot's pod was destroyed and he died, he'd be like, oh, that's.
I wasted my time in coming here.
And then he would have probably blown up the planet or like scorched the planet in frustration. Pretty much.
And if he didn't, Moro would have ate it many years later.
Erebus Avalon. What if Yajirobe trained Gohan instead of Piccolo? Samurai Gohan, anyone? Pretty much it.
Look, kid, I'm a busy guy. I'm just gonna give you my sword, and you just try and use it, and something like that.
Remember about the
Is it because you're fat?
Yeah. No. No, it's part of my training. You gotta be self-reliant with my sword. And while you're at it, can you go in like this place and get my takeout order? That'd be great.
Is that what
I'm gonna
too?
Yeah, sure, kid.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to have you go to the burrito shop and get my order, please.
Just say Yajirobe sent you. Yeah, he'll know what to give you.
Pretty much.
Yajirobe is such a weird character because he's not weak. He's actually pretty strong.
He's pretty decent, but he's just he's not interested unless there's something in it for him.
Yeah,
he's true.
If we go by what he was retroactively said to have had as far as his power level goes, he was probably one of the strongest Earth-based characters around up to the Saiyan saga for a good time in Dragon Ball. Like, you don't realize it, but there's a part of you that realizes once you've read that for a long time, Yajirobe was the strongest person on Earth.
Yeah, the world's strongest for a very long time.
Against Vegeta, he was 970. In 3 of Might, he was apparently 2,100.
Wow. Wow.
Which means that he's a fifth of what he's a fifth of the 10,000 power level that Bardock had in the Bardock special, and it puts him on par with some of the higher middle class Saiyans. At the time of Tree of Might, he could have wiped the floor with Cybermen and Raditz and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, if Raditz destroyed a burrito, his favorite burrito shop,
you sure just crossed the line.
Snicked. All that kind of
Cuts
stuff.
his hair.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to deal with you now.
And he cuts his hair.
It's like, I'm gonna have to take you out.
We are getting so distracted, guys.
Pizza 15X. Oh god, that's an app name. What if Android 18 fell in love with Yamcha instead of Krillin? Okay. So if she fell in love with Yamcha, well, in that case, if he did, Yamcha probably would have had a less compelling reason. If they had the remote and Krillin got it because he's the most trustworthy, he'd have just shut Android 18 down. He'd have done it.
Well, and I mean, if Krillin still developed his crush, but then didn't wind up with Android 18,
No,
I don't necessarily think there would have been any resentment there.
No.
But I do think that Krillin would have probably been a bit more of a he would have been a bit lonely going into his later adulthood, and would have probably hyper fixated on his training instead, and probably like actually followed the path of hermitude like Roshi.
Yeah, but I'd say at the same time he'd have pressed the shutdown button for the good of the Earth. And he'd say, I'm sorry, Yamcha, I had to do it. You're a catch. You'll find another lady soon enough. So basically, yeah, that's the thing. He would have said that. And then Yamcha goes,
Oh, wow.
yeah, you're probably right. Chicks dig the former baseball player. Just get Stan. Get Stan to do some retort.
Cat loves food. Cat loves food. Yeah.
The Desposito of the Dragon world. Alright, Mr. Michael Law. What if Krillin getting his potential unlocked helped him get the power he unlocked in DBS? Oh yes, that power that didn't go anywhere. Okay, it gave him solar flare times 100. Boom.
He created solar flare times 100.
Based on him being inspired.
Yeah, but I mean, man, there were so many opportunities to give the human characters the boosts that they needed. Tien could have gotten a boost from his experience with the dojo and Yurin. Yamcha could have gotten a boost if he'd have been allowed to even participate. Krillin got a boost and they did nothing with it. There's so much potential there.
Krillin and Roshi at least defeated someone. At least they defeated someone. Not
yeah.
Yeah, at least that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Then there is 2 from Manifesto. What if Videl's blonde high school friend, Irasa, got with Gohan instead of Videl? And what if Vegeta fought Super Broly instead? Well, if Vegeta fought Super Broly, pretty much the same thing would have happened because their powers are pretty much equal nowadays. So, I'd say pretty much no change there. Because Vegeta and Gogeta are just... They're the same, they're interchangeable depending on the circumstance. If there's Patara earrings or not. Yep. And then the other one, if Gohan got with Irasa, I think that's where everybody wanted it to go initially, because Videl was a real jerk initially. Despite being hot at that time. But, you know, just saying. But I will
always have a love for Pigtail Videl. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
short-haired Videl's great, but Pigtail Videl is great.
I prefer Pixie, but Pigtail does have its charms. With Gohan going with Irasa, that was the conventional route to go, the vanilla route, because she's nice, she has Gohan's back, but in terms of martial arts, not really there, not really interested. So
I also think she's got a personality. I think she's got a personality that, you know, because while Videl herself is a fighter, she was also so like considerate of Gohan's pursuits of scholarship that I think that she really kind of pushed him toward that more. I think if Irasa was to show interest in him, I think she might have taken up the training in order to get closer to Gohan. She wouldn't have been nearly as invested as Videl, but she would have taken up the training to get invested in order to strengthen her connection to Gohan. But I think the big difference would be that she would have encouraged Gohan to try to focus more on his fighting abilities rather than pursuit of scholarship.
True.
I
think Chi-Chi wouldn't have liked her nearly as much as Videl.
No.
Yeah. I remember we had that idea of pairing them in a possible continuation of what if Gohan was the hero of Earth.
True. No, I think Irasa and Gohan in that situation would be much better.
Yeah.
Perfect for that
I want to see it.
Yeah. Paparazzo, what if King Kai wore and gave Goku Patara earrings? Then we'd have Sean Semmel voicing 2 characters as one. You know, I'm trying to like Hey guys, it's me, Goku. Something like that. Yeah.
King Gokai.
King Gokai. Yeah. Just like that. Dumpster Dracula. Has there been a theory about Android 17 accidentally restoring the other universes, or did he specifically request the tournament to power universes? I think that's he said all the universes to be revived. But,
that were erased. So
yeah, exactly. But that could have easily meant other universes if he wasn't.
This is left ambiguous. I feel that this is left
just
ambiguous.
Plot convenience.
Yeah, in case they plan to do something with it, because it is the case in both manga and anime. I checked that, by the way.
Yeah, because what they could do is just go, oh yeah, when Android 17 made that wish, oh no, something else happened.
Mm-hmm.
That they could just.
That's what I thought it was going to wind up being. That's what I thought it was going to wind up being too, but they didn't launch into it right away. So maybe they're saving it for after the Moro arc.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the mystery mouse couture.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Paparazza, what if Piccolo beat Goku via ring out? Well, if he did, it probably would have just continued on pretty much what it was before. You know, because when Piccolo, I think the tournament just got out of hand. So I think really not much would have changed. Yeah, Piccolo would have won, but he probably would have been disqualified for trying to kill his opponent. Pretty much unsportsmanlike behavior.
I mean, I think he still could have that resentment in the future that I won with you. Yeah. Don't ever forget that.
Yeah, he would. Oh, he would have that over him, definitely.
Yeah.
Nene Sword. What if Baby infected Pan instead of Trunks? Well, I think maybe it would have. That would have been much more of the slow game. Like she would have. The Baby infected Pan would have probably tried to get in. Like really would have. That wouldn't have been his endpoint, but it certainly would have been able to get closer to like Vegeta and like Gohan and stuff like that.
It might have made for some more interesting twists, especially if they played the slow game and he didn't and Baby didn't immediately try to, infect everybody as many people as soon as possible and get to somebody like Vegeta. Like if we had an arc that turned Pan into the villain because of being infected by Baby, I think that would have almost been more interesting than Baby Vegeta. I think that it would have been a very emotional thing to have to face down your granddaughter and be faced with a dilemma of, am I going to have to kill my own granddaughter in order to defeat this evil?
Yeah. But it's been lately really funny because of like various things in the Mandalorian and that thing. Baby Vegeta, baby Vegeta. Baby Vegeta, baby Vegeta, baby Vegeta, baby Vegeta.
Yeah.
The galaxy's going to hell.
Yeah. And by the way, we already saw in Super how amazing Baby Pan is. So
Yeah. But is she the perfect baby?
I'm sure for Videl and Gohan and Piccolo she is.
Yeah.
Whoosh. Gorilla Geek 27, SM Down H9, thank you very much for your super chats. Nick Wolf again. For Pilaf and Boss Rabbit, LA means live action. Oh, live action Pilaf and Boss Rabbit. Oh, well, they'd be CGI, pretty much.
Yeah.
No. Warwick Davis as Pilaf in loads of prosthetics, and Boss Rabbit is a CGI rabbit. Pretty much.
Played by Alan Tudyk.
Of course, Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, yes.
Actually.
Oh my gosh,
Warwick
that's such perfect casting.
Tudyk. That would be a really good lineup.
I would watch it twice.
Basically, if Alan Tudyk can make Hey Hey the chicken sound compelling in Moana, I mean, what can't he do? Throwing a bit of K2SO
I'm sorry, we call her Vaiana. We call her Vaiana here in that part of Europe. I don't know if you know this story, but I will tell you after the stream. But
I know why.
Yeah.
I know. Gorilla Geek. What if Cell and Boo did a fusion? Dance and Potara earrings. Cebu or Cebu, because Cebu is a city in the Philippines. That would have been a name pun based on a town. So personally, and probably would have had the pants. Probably would have been quite bulky, probably slightly bigger than Semi-Perfect Cell, and yeah, probably pink. that kind of thing, I would say, but called Seaweed. Paparacha. What if future Goku came back for a day, taught Gohan and Trunks fusion, and got Earth a new Guardian and Dragonballs? So, okay, so if for some reason future Goku was allowed to come back for a day, you know, technicalities about Haverok aside, basically he probably would say, I've been in the other world, I've learned this cool technique, you should try it sometime. He'd probably say,
you guys do know about the Rune of Spirit in Time, right?
It's like, no.
Oh, right.
He would have. Well, that would have solved everything. Goku would have just told him, "Hey, I know this technique. Let's go in the time chamber. I'll take you there." Because Goku would have been strong enough to at least defend them from the the androids for a bit to get to where they need to go. And also, he would have had instant transmission. They'd have gone straight there. Pretty much. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, basically, that would have just completely, neutered the arc entirely.
Yeah.
Paparacha again. What if Goku was reincarnated as Yamcha? He'd be very frustrated.
If Goku was reincarnated as Yamcha, he would be striving. I'm sure that he would be striving for greatness, but he'd also be incredibly confused because Goku is not the type of person to try to pretend to be someone he's not. And I mean, we've seen this when in like the stuff where Chi-Chi dresses him up in a suit and they go and have the interview for Gohan's school in the movie. He doesn't play a role at all. So like if he wound up being reincarnated as Yamcha, he'd be like, I guess I'm in Yamcha's body now, but he wouldn't think of himself as being Yamcha. So when the time came and he met people like Bulma and the other Goku, the younger Goku in this instance, he would be like, yeah, I'm Goku too. And he would be frustrated because he doesn't have any of the Saiyan genes. So he doesn't get Senkai, he doesn't get Super Saiyan. He'd be like, I have to work that much harder now in order to get strong.
It's a challenge, but I think it would get old very quickly. Matthew Peatling, what if Gohan protected Piccolo from the Nappa Ki Blast? So basically, if it was the other way around, it probably would have been bad. Gohan would have been toast. Unless the Rage Boost came at the convenient time.
If Gohan had been toasted, I could see maybe Piccolo getting the second wind from pure unbridled rage, maybe even going so far as to tap into some kind of evil energy.
Namekian rage.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Like,
yeah, okay. Gorilla Geek, what if Baba taught Goku how to use magic? It would be a very, very long task. It'd be very, very long.
Oh, yeah.
Baba would probably teach him the basics and then give up and get bored and say, I don't know how you put up with him, Roshi. I mean, I'm just like, oh my god, I'm tearing what's left of my hair out.
I disagree because now we know that he spent a lot of time with Yardratians about getting the Yardratians techniques took him 150 days, but he got focused. Yeah. And if Goku wants to learn something, if he wanted to learn magic, he would learn it. He would find a way to focus.
To
do it. It's a challenge. He would. Of course, it wouldn't be easy for him at the beginning, but he would try to do everything to get into the mindset of learning magic.
Okay.
So I disagree.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair enough.
I think I kind of in the middle ground in there in that I do agree with Haverok's point that he could if he truly focused, he could learn some magic. I don't think he would learn a whole ton, and I think what he would do is he would do exactly the same as he does with the instant transmission, is he would keep it as kind of like a back pocket trump card, so that he uses all the stuff he's good at first, the fist fighting, the martial arts, the Kamehameha, and if he has to, he will whip out some magic if it will be good for the situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. True. Okay,
guys, we are in trouble. But I have a solution. I brought Grandpa Gohan for one day.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna use a technique. What kind is that, Goku? Well, it's a kind of magic.
Oh no.
Yeah. Frostbite. Just for fun. What if DBZ characters are in go-kart races? Okay. Well, we know that with Vegeta and Goku, Vegeta would win on a game of Super Nintendo thanks to that legendary art of like Goku and Vegeta playing Super Nintendo.
Luigi is always better than Mario.
No, he's not! Oh, Dragon Ball CG with Phaelus. It's like, can I join the Ginyu Force?
No, let's get him better.
Just like, oh, the old animations. Well, basically, Goku would probably play by the rules. Vegeta would like find shortcuts to try and beat Goku, but would fail miserably, not make the jumps. Gohan would pretty much find all the shortcuts, but basically no one would want to play him because he's too good. Like, he would destroy everybody, and he's like, don't play Gohan, he's no fun. Like that.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much.
I could see I could see Gohan being the completionist of the group, and
Yeah.
he's the one who knows all the insides and outs and the tricks. But then there's somebody like Yamcha or something who is just like a speedrunner or something like that. But the truest speedrunner of all is Birder.
True.
Yeah.
Because he's the fastest in the universe.
And suddenly this comes and beats his record on the first try.
Hold my beer. It's like, hold my space beer.
Yeah.
Welcome to Awesome Games Done Quick, where we're gonna have a competition between Dispo and Birder.
Yeah. And Piccolo would be the only guy who plays with Gohan, but he doesn't take enjoyment in the game.
No.
He only does it because he doesn't want Gohan to be sad. But he hates kart racings, but he does it.
Yeah. Alright, Master Riku. What if future Android 18 went back to the past? Depends where. If Android 18 went back to the past, probably like with some way to like wait for Trunks, she probably would have decimated everybody. But then again, she probably would have actually said, "Oh hey, cool, this Earth's still the same, neat." She'd probably take up some of the hobbies again, and probably would just be like, "I'll wait until like Gohan, comes by or something like that." She'd take her time, because all the things.
I think the idea is, to confront our Android 18 with the evil future Android 18.
Oh, right. Oh no,
I think the good 18 would
win.
Would kick her ass.
Because R18's been training. R18's been training and gotten stronger, like quite a bit stronger. Whereas 18, why would they get stronger? They're already strong. They didn't train. So yeah, no, a future R18 would have kicked Android 18's ass pretty much. KB the GOAT. What if Gohan never stopped training after Cell? Well, pretty much, he would have got when he went Super Saiyan 2 at the World Martial Arts Tournament. That Super Saiyan 2 would have been way stronger than Vegeta. Like, a lot stronger. And, like, and I think Haverok said this bit as well. If they absorbed Barbady's, used the thing on Gohan, Boo probably would have been much closer to being revived. Like, with that much more power. Like, probably instead of being halfway, they'd have been, like, 3/4 of the way there. And then during the middle of the fight with Goku and Vegeta, Boo would have been released. That
probably, but I don't think Gohan would give them a chance to release Boo in that scenario.
No, but if it did, probably Goku and Vegeta probably would have had to stop the fight and intervene.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I think that's the thing. The X territory. What if Son Goku had a twin sister who was sent to planet Namek and raised by Nell and the Namekians? Her name is Aika. They then finally meet in the Frieza saga.
Oh wow, that's a new one. We haven't heard this one before.
I am so curious how this whole thing truly started with the sister thing. Is it just a wish fulfillment self-insert or original character do not steal situation, or is it like a legitimate thing where people believed there was a rumor that Goku had another sibling apart from Raditz? But it is interesting. But the biggest problem that I see with that situation is that even if you wind up with a Saiyan child lands on Namek, right?
Yeah.
Let's first and foremost, you have to remember that the Namekian people are pacifists, and while they do have warriors, those warriors, their training only takes them so far. So while this Saiyan has the kinds of like potential that Goku has buried deep inside of her, you probably wouldn't see her achieve quite the same level of strength by the time that like the Frieza saga shows up that Goku did, because Goku had to deal with so many different traumatic incidents across his life, get a bunch of different Zenkai boosts, and all this other stuff, especially with being like exposed to the moon for another thing. Like, we can assume that the moon has at least a partial effect on a Saiyan's growth and development power-wise, and Namek has no moon. It has perpetual daylight, in point of fact. And so by the time Frieza shows up, I think the problem would be, how powerful would Aika truly be compared to the other ones, and would it even be worthwhile for her to be there, and would it give anything to the story? And furthermore, if she's grown up with the Namekians, what that would probably result in is it would result in her wanting to stay with the Namekians because they're her real family.
Yeah.
So when everybody goes to New Namek, she would have accompanied them.
Yeah. No, I would say so. Yeah. Okay, John Coleman. What if Bulma tutored Goku for 7 months before taking him with her on the Dragon Ball hunt? Oh, right. So basically saying, she'd gone like, wait a sec. Kid, if you're going to be traveling with me, I'm going to teach you. Well, the thing is, though, she didn't have time because this was her summer vacation. They went on to look for Dragon Balls during her summer vacation, pretty much. And, you know, she wouldn't have had time because she'd have to go back to school as well. So, if she was able to basically say, I'll come back on weekends and teach you, maybe. But what would be the point? Is she that conceited and really that snooty to say, you are so uncivilized, until you actually learn more, I am not going to go on this adventure with you?
Well, I mean, it is Bulma.
That's true, yeah. But I would say, really, I don't really know. I think it'd be a bit of a weird move, and it would certainly slow down the story considerably.
Well, maybe it would just be a kind of situation where it's not like she wants to sit him down in a classroom and like properly educate him. I think it would be more like, okay, well, before we start our journey proper, let's go take a bit of a road trip, and I'll show you the city for like a week, and I'll try to get you kind of acclimated to social interaction and stuff like that, like the real basic stuff, because he's essentially a child. Goku is essentially a child hermit, a country bumpkin. So if she took him for a week, maybe 2 weeks, just to kind of chill in the city and get acclimated to social life and all that other kind of stuff, maybe it would have helped Goku kind of gain a bit more perspective and become a little socially more knowledgeable. And maybe, that extra bonding time might have done something to change how their relationship was in the future.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is the traffic safety saga again.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. No, absolutely. Frostbite, just for fun, what if Astro Boy was in the DBZ world? Oh, Dr. Tenma would have known about Bulma. They probably would have been good friends.
Astro Boy would have been one of the big helpers against the android threat, because he would have been very upset at Dr. Gero attempting to use robotics and cybernetics for evil purposes.
Yeah, totally. I think that's pretty much it, really. That's pretty much what you would be involved in.
Dr. Gero would have his own copy of Astro Boy. He was his evil Astro Boy android,
It's kind of funny because Astro Boy's creator is very, very similar to Dr. Gero in that Astro Boy was designed to be a simulation of his own child, and Gero, of course, we know after the fact that Gero did much the same when it came to Android 16. So you might be able to get a good bonding moment there between Astro and 16.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Pizza 15X. What if the gods in Universe 7 were extremely lazy? Oh, if only. If only. Well, basically, it's down to Shin. If Shin had been actually in... Tell you what. Check out my what if the Supreme Kai wasn't useless video, and you pretty much get your answer. It's all down to Shin actually applying himself and not allowing this to happen, and they would have to earn their keep, pretty much. So if they weren't, then the mortal level of Universe 7 would be much higher. There wouldn't be only 28 planets left in the universe. So yeah.
Because if Beerus felt challenged, he would. Like, the reason why he is lazy, I feel it is implied, is that he didn't really got challenged.
No.
And he was allowed to be lazy.
Exactly. He had nobody.
He could be.
Yeah.
He's a very powerful God, but nobody challenges him. Nobody dares to, stand up to him, and that's why he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, exactly. Even the strongest people can get lackadaisical and not apply their power. So yeah, he had no reason to apply that strength. So there you go. Gorilla Geek. What if Cooler became canon, but he's not Frieza's brother, just another member of his race? That'd be interesting if that's a way they kind of retconned Cooler into a movie. So basically, instead of Frieza being Cooler's brother, he's like another member of the same clan. So maybe like, another experimental Cooler, but not like a biological brother.
It would certainly be interesting from a perspective of maybe we would at least get to observe some more of maybe their the race's home planet, or other members of the race, how their government outside of Frieza's empire functions and stuff like that. Because like one of my problems with the Frieza race as a whole is how narrow in scope it is as far as its existence goes, because it all revolves around, Cold Force, later the Frieza Force, and stuff like that. Even Cooler in the movies, he's basically got his own version of everything that Frieza has. He just never did anything worthwhile with them. So it would be interesting to see it from a perspective of somebody who isn't Frieza, maybe seeing an opportunity, or isn't related to Frieza, maybe seeing an opportunity, and we could get more invested in stuff and kind of think about how the race as a whole behaves and thinks and stuff like that.
Because like we have Xenoverse stuff, but we don't know how much of this stuff is from Toriyama, because some of it is basically because some of it's from his notes from online, and the elements that we gathered is like that Frieza and Colt are mutants, and that's a great idea for for that member being resentful towards them, being born with the power, and him getting to that power essentially.
Paparazzi is next. What if you added the super chat backlog to the screen? Well, Paparazzi, the thing is though, if I added it to the screen, you wouldn't see it all because there's a lot. There's like usually plus 200. So unfortunately, you wouldn't see them all anyway. So I'm having to scroll down slowly but surely. So pretty much.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much we managed to get over the course of these streams.
Yeah, exactly. So really, it wouldn't really add much, to your experience. You'd just be seeing a screen slowly scrolling down, and that'd be it. Sorry about that. Jens Greven, what if Frieza became good? And the autistic goldfish did another one, so I'm gonna actually lump these two together. But Frieza became good, and then the goldfish says, what if Frieza was born good? So okay, so this is like a two-parter. So if Frieza became good, if it would only be down to the fact if Goku's like warnings of like, I'm giving you one last chance, leave the planet, I don't want to see your face again. So basically if Frieza listened to him and actually stuck instead of what I did in my Frieza listen to Goku video. So that'd be the only way he could ever become good. But basically,
what happened to whatever happened to Dabura, which was kinda hard, which was what kinda was they tried to do with him in Hell.
Yeah.
So that's one of the options.
So maybe
if he was, I have a very easy answer about what if he was born good, he wouldn't be the emperor of the Frieza Force.
He'd be a failed experiment.
Yeah.
He'd be a failure.
Well, and at best, I think what it would be, especially if you decided to say like make Cooler canon, I think the way that it would kind of go down is you would have Frieza, who doesn't inherit the Cold Force, which would instead probably wind up going to Cooler, and Frieza, who would be seeing all of this, this evil being, this casual evil being perpetrated, even if it's not nearly as vicious as when his evil counterpart is in control of the Frieza Force. I think that a good Frieza would probably, since the Saiyans wouldn't get wiped out, he would probably see them as one of the bigger power, like powers in the universe, and he'd probably be like thinking that if he could find some good-hearted Saiyans, if he could go to the planet and find some good-hearted Saiyans, maybe he could find a way to stage some kind of way to topple King Cold / Cooler's burgeoning empire.
Yeah.
Because I think that he would be the type to want to see, if he was a good guy and born a good guy, he'd be the type to want to seek active change for the betterment of the universe.
Or he would be a Tarbu of this family.
That's fair. Pizza15X saying, what if Whis lied to Zamasu that Goku was being trained to be the next God, and Goku and Beerus went along with it? That's actually a really clever idea. If Whis just say, oh, don't mind him, he's going to become the next God, yes. So if they went along with it, because if like, Whis, I didn't say I was going to, Beerus nudging him, oh yeah, no, I'm totally becoming like that. I think that would have bought them some time. Like, that would have probably saved Zamasu from going over the edge. Because it's like, this is a God
maybe.
in training. Like, that probably would have actually... You know what? That's actually not a bad idea. That would have worked, I think. Just.
Yeah, take it down. Write a note, because like
It's like...
knowing that he isn't simply a mortal, he is in fact a mortal chosen by the gods to become a god, might have completely changed Zamasu's perspective, and so he wouldn't have been nearly as upset at the idea of losing to him if he believed that he was a God in training.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that would have probably would have worked.
He would be angry that like his anger and resentment could go that he would feel that Universe 10 is so much behind Universe 7.
He'd internalize it on his own universe.
Yeah. That would be his.
Yeah, and he may have been and he may have developed a dissatisfaction for the gods of destruction based upon the idea that if these creatures, these gods of destruction, are as powerful as they have shown us, then why are so many of these universes, including our own, maybe go off on Goasu a bit, why are so many of these universes, including our own, why do they have such low mortal levels? Why are we such failures if we have all of this power at our disposal? We should be taking a more active role in shaping the universe.
No, absolutely, I agree with that. Nene Sword, what if Krillin beat Goku at the Budokai? Well, I would say Goku probably wouldn't be that bothered. He'd actually be really happy for Krillin to actually get one over him. But then that would probably would have fed into the whole thing of, oh, Krillin's now the guy I've got to do, the stronger guy out there. So it actually would have been probably good for Krillin's motivation and Goku's just determination to get stronger. And also, but then when Krillin gets iced by Tambourine, that probably would have hurt Goku more. Or probably would have actually scared him. Like,
maybe scared him, but also at the same time been like, not only did you take my best friend from me, you also took away, like, the person that I was using as my kind of like my goal, my goal to beat, my rival. So now you're in trouble, Tambourine.
Yeah, no, definitely. Master Riku, what if Santa Claus was a Saiyan? Well, if Vegeta still tried to blow up his sleigh, then there would have been a lot more repercussions after that. I'll tell you that. But yeah, no, I would say it'd be be very conflicting. Certainly, just like this nefarious race delivering presents of pain, pretty much.
He was probably trained with Yardratians to learn intertransmission.
That'll make the job a lot easier.
Give all the gifts.
Yeah. Pamparacha, what if Z Paragus set up his new planet Vegeta on Vampa, finding Super Paragus and Broly? So, basically, if he decided, hey, let's set up a new Saiyan colony here, well, Okay, they'd need to find a female Saiyan out there.
Well, and let's not forget that new Vegeta in the old Broly movie was just a trap. It was quite literally, it was only there to lure Vegeta to the planet so that he'd die in the resultant explosion. So if Paragus wanted to utilize Vampa for a colony, like a legitimate colony, he'd first have to have this entirely different game plan going in. And if he found twins, essentially, of himself and his son, I think there would have been a lot of problems there, because I think that DBZ Broly versus DB Super Broly, I think they would have butted heads really badly, just because of how unstable they both are.
Yeah.
And it would have probably been very, very bad for the planet, if not the entire, galaxy where Vampa is located.
And I wonder which Paragus would backstab which
Yeah.
Because that would happen at some point.
Yeah. Alright, Logan R. What if Japan started copy striking anime channels? Oh, what? That they don't already? Excuse me. What do you think T4 Star does on a regular basis? They do that. So, yeah, no, basically, if they were a bit more overly zealous about it, there'd be more of an uproar, certainly. Mainly just for the fact that... Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought my DAC was probably playing up something like that. But yeah, Thunderstone, let's just play the sound. We'll play the sound. For creativity everywhere. Meep Slayer, is there any non-canon thing you'd like to be canon? PyCon. And Alibu.
Cool air.
Yeah, I really do like PyCon. I really do like Alibu. I want to say I like Cooler, his design and stuff like that, but I think he needs to be given a different backstory. Needs a lot of reworking there. Also, I want them to canonize Broly. It is like my go-to Dragon Ball ship now after watching Super, and Broly and Chi-Lai forever, please. And thank you. Yes.
I'd like to see more of Tapcar, like that one guy in the Otherworld tournament, and give him the voice of Peridot. Like,
yeah. Alright, you quads, I'm gonna use my super speed dash. Whoosh-yoom!
And it's just like, and then just like die. Yeah. Oh dear. Alright. Next one, Lucas Moore. What if Goku turns Super Saiyan? Oh, well, that'd be the end of Dragon Ball entirely now, wouldn't it? Goku turning Super Saiyan, how ridiculous. As if that would happen. Well, no, I mean, if he did, he probably would end up beating Frieza, scare off Jiro, have a heart virus, then teach his son to go Super Saiyan 2, that kind of thing.
Well,
I mean, that
it depends on what
point
in the it depends on what point in the timeline we're talking, because I mean, again, you've pretty much covered every aspect of Goku's Super Saiyanness, from OG Dragon Ball days to
I'm saying
the modern
we pretty
one.
much covered that, really, so I think we'll
so yeah, let's move on.
Alright, Purple Snow. What if the Zamasu arc took place after the Universal Tournament and Zamasu saw how strong mortals can be? Now, you see, that would be an interesting point of when to put it, but at the same time, Goku's power would have been much stronger. Like, future Zamasu, merge Zamasu against Kaioken 20 Blue Goku was beating him and caused, like, future Zamasu to go corrupt. Yeah, to break. So basically, a Kaioken times 20 Goku after that, it probably would have beaten Zamasu to a pulp. Like, to the point of, like, it doesn't matter how many times he's immortal. Probably, like, he wouldn't have had the Super Dragon Balls, because the Super Dragon Balls would have been used.
You can always make a point that it happens after, so Zamasu is stronger, like, relatively.
Okay.
But the problem to me is, where was he around the TOP arc? Like, why didn't he help Goasuchu's warriors?
Yeah.
Why those warriors were so pathetically weak? Like,
I
feel like you could change it around to make more sense after TOP.
Maybe.
In a way.
Yeah, but I mean, like, Goasu was, like, basically saying, I'm choosing people based on brute strength, and look where that got him.
Yeah.
Nowhere, pretty much. Andres Morero. What if Jiro turned good and reformed the Red Ribbon Army? forming a conglomerate with Capsule Corp, but are still fierce rivals, with access to flying castles, magic items, and alien tech. Earth has a capable military. Now you see, if Jiro decided to actually go, you know what, I'm going to use my technology, let's work with Capsule Corp in some things, but a friendly rivalry, you know how this competition creates great products for people? The Earth would actually prosper, I think. So, actually, the fact that...
I'm going to create the Turn Good program that will turn me good. That's my new nefarious plan. Oh, wait.
But no, but it would certainly be like... It would certainly benefit the Earth because, you know, people would have fantastic products and the future would be fun in that regard. So I think that's pretty much it, really.
And we would and initially, then corporations would take over, and we would have Vegeta as a Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Or no, Krillin. Krillin as a Blade Runner, as a, you know, because he's a cop.
Yeah. No,
Oh my gosh, Krillin being in love with Android 18.
Exactly my
so
point.
much better.
Exactly my point.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine taking those really introspective and thoughtful scenes where Decker's like thinking on himself and he's seeing the vision of the unicorn. He's really introspective, got the cigarette in his hand or whatever, just like dwelling in his apartment, except it's Krillin and it's all done in that noir style. I want fan art of it so much. I want Krillin as Decker.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. SSJ3 Gohan. What if Goku never had Kami remove his tail? Well, I suppose really, Goku probably would have learnt to not be like desensitized or paralyzed when somebody grabs his tail. Because you can learn, you know, you can teach yourself to, you know, shirk that, as Vegeta and Nappa taught us. It probably would have used it for more techniques and stuff. Probably would have been able to fly using it as a helicopter again.
Tail Kamehameha.
Kamehameha tail, yes. Just shoot it out of his tail. So basically, Goku shoots a Kamehameha out of his butt.
Oh wow.
More it's Toriyama, immature poop jokes. Yeah. Heartless Fang. What if Videl got Ultra Instinct during the last moments of a fight with Spopovich? That would have been very random.
Oh, random.
It would have definitely random, but it would have been interesting because it wouldn't have been someone like Goku.
And but it would be like eventually it would just be cut. I still love that one of like, you know, just kachidaze, but it's just the cards.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, it's basically. But if that happened, it would have caught everybody off guard, and that would have caught Whis' attention.
Imagine the whole, you know, amazing scene with Goku and Frieza against Jiren, the last. Those last scenes, but played with Videl and Mr. Satan instead.
Yeah.
Toss me, daughter.
Oh, that'd be a trip. That'd be a trip. Logan R. What if everyone had a giant form like Piccolo? Then everybody would be giant. It'd be very awkward to have tea.
Hopefully somebody will get giant soon.
Oh yes, of course. If
technically,
the manga.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, technically, doesn't everybody have the potential for that now? As long as they were to go to Yard Rat and be like, "Hey guys, I'm here to learn."
Yeah, and they decided to put all their efforts into that. That's true.
Giant Max Vegeta, or no, make Chaozu to learn that.
No, Giant Yamcha.
It would be so creepy.
Giant Yamcha.
Chaozu would be more creepy.
No, Giant Yamcha. We go like, "Hey baby, once I get giant, everything goes giant."
As far as Chaozu goes, Haverok, instead of having like a giant form, what if it went like the Yu Yu Hakusho route and learning the spirit control gave Chaozu a form kind of like a Koenma? So where like instead of being this Jiangxi childish looking thing, he got this Bishonen like teenage badass form.
Yeah. and that would be so funny and subversive. So that'd be perfect.
Fan art. Yes. I'm gonna request so much fan art.
Master Riku, Mewtwo versus Goku, who would win? It'd be Dan Green versus Sean Schemmel. Who would win?
Probably Goku. Probably Goku.
Yeah, because Mewtwo uses psychic powers, but with Goku, he has no brain.
Yeah,
As
you can't mind crush the brainless.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. The Highland Merc. Since I like me some androids and some such what if Dr. Gero was able to make it to Universe 3 with the larval cell. I know this could be a later payoff, but curious if you think this would change much. So okay, so if Dr. Gero found a way to get to Universe 3, well, he'd be lauded as some kind of super being, and, you know, because they're all technically engineered life forms there.
I just want to say, stay tuned for something in the future.
Alright, okay. Well,
Yeah,
Highland Merc,
what
you
ifs.
heard that. We'll watch this space then.
Yeah.
Heartless Fang next. What if Pan Videl became the Super Saiyan God instead of Goku during the Battle of Gods? What if Pan in canon was born with God Ki because of this? Oh, so what? So basically they do the ritual, right? And they expect Goku to become the Super Saiyan God, but Videl does. And everyone's going like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah, yeah. True Pan. That's brilliant.
That's actually
brilliant.
You know what?
I really...
Let's do that for a
I'm not-
lightning round.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lightning round for that would be
We'll
interesting.
do-
I'm not normally into like
Let's-
turning people into Saiyans, but that's fun.
I'd almost be tempted to do this as a lightning round, but make this its own video. Like, it's just a 5-minute what-if video.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to do
one-parter, just
Haverok,
it.
take a note.
Do it.
Take a note.
Yeah.
Alright,
Yeah.
Do it.
K-Knives. How to make Tenshinhan stay relevant in Z? Actually have Toriyama, you know... Well, the thing is, though, Tenshinhan is the straight man. And in Dragon Ball, there is no room to be the straight man. Like, the straight man, he is there as a joke because he is the straight man.
I am the only serious
Character in
character.
the show.
That's the joke.
That's the joke.
Send him to Yardrat. Like, make Goku send.
Yeah,
send
he'd
his
have to
human
go to
friends
Yardrat. No, he'd have to
Send
go
Oh,
his
to...
man.
human friends to Yardrat, and that would help them a lot.
He'd probably say when he
See,
gets
and
back...
learning from the Yardratians would be so great.
Now, basically, if Goku was like saying, "Hey, Tenshinhan, I got these people over here," I think he'd really find it cool. And then just takes Tenshinhan to Yardrat and leaves him there. And just checks up on him and stuff. Paparacha, what if Tao was recruited and upgraded for the TOP? He would not do it. He would not do it. Because he's terrified of Goku. He's terrified. Like, yeah, at first you'd have to teach him that Goku's not about to kill him. And, you know, after 10 hours of screaming, yeah, no, Tao could be useful. He could kill people with his tongue. So basically, you know, he'd have to, like, temper that technique. But basically, you think, why is this guy licking me? Knocked out. Yeah, a tongue that knocks you out. That'd be really
It would be
broken.
interesting to see some of those really weird martial arts moves actually translate into later shows, because it's one of those situations where, like, if somebody like Tao Pai Pai is on an equal or greater footing with somebody else, there's so much room for experimentation with how to fight, you know, because when he goes up against General Blue, everything about that fight is so creative because he's got his hands behind his back the whole time, and then he kills him with his tongue, and it's just so absurd when you see it.
Yeah.
It's so absurd. And you don't really get that anymore with modern Dragon Ball because you just get the fists flying and the flash movement and the power-up sequences and stuff like that.
That's why
There's
I really
no more
I love the
style.
TOP. I love the TOP because, you know,
You got at least some of that in some minor
variety.
fights.
Yeah, they had to.
Mhm.
I like this. I like the sniper guy. I like the weird guy. You know, like I don't remember. They were like those weirdest fighters were kind of cool, like using all those weird gimmicks.
Yeah,
That really felt cool.
yeah. SM Down H is next. What if Chi-Chi's castle was saved by Goku? So basically, on top of Fire Mountain, their house was saved instead of it being blown up. Well, then they probably would have inherited the castle eventually. That when Ox King died, or they would have visited there.
I mean, you know, like probably, you know, a large turtle dragon would try to kidnap her from time to time, you know,
but then
with
Goku
a
would just come back
mushroom
and
and
save
turtle
it.
army, and for some reason this turtle dragon would be voiced by our Kevin from
Pretty much.
Raditz.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yes. Yeah, something like that.
I see what you did there,
Yeah.
Haverok.
Okay, but Blake Diamond. 2 more. What if Tarbell joined the Z Fighters, and what if Frieza found the big Getaster? Well, okay, if Tarbell joined the Z Fighters, he'd be support. He'd be the tech guy. As we said a few times. Tarbell is not a fighter. He'd be there as support. Like, he'd be there supporting Bulma, and probably be like, you know, have good intel on what...
Communications expert.
Yes, exactly. And he would be a good diplomat to take if you were dealing with, like, people that were really, like, tenuous. Yeah. And then with Frieza, if he found the big Getaster... When? Basically, I think the remnants of it, or something like that, before Cooler did? Or something like that? So basically, if the big Getaster... I'm sorry, I'm not calling it the Big Getty Star anymore. After Big Green, it's the Big Getaster.
I understand, but I'm always going to call it the Spaghetti Star.
Because it ain't no one's fool. Well, basically, if he did, he would have probably used it and integrated it into his own ship. But then again, he probably would have been overtaken because the Big Getaster would have probably overridden him. Because, yeah, of Frieza underestimating... Oh, what, it's just a giant computer cancerous tumor. Yeah, as if it can overtake me, Lord Frieza.
I would say, you know, after Broly movie, Frieza wouldn't exactly try to fuse with it, but, like, would literally try to poke it with a stick. Oh, what's this? What it will do? What it will do if I poke it? I'm poking you. I'm poking you. What do you do? What do you do? Do something. Do something nefarious. Do something evil. That's what he would do. Yep. Imagine, like, Frieza's ship having that giant cosmic stick, you know, and just, you know, poking the big Getty Star.
I don't know what you're smoking, but I think I want some. Oh my gosh.
Okay, what?
It's just my regular brain chemistry, Sophie.
Okay, just checking something. Jonathan Norris. Okay. What if the androids met 18 during the Ada during the Android saga? I doubt it'd be very impactful, but I still think it'd be a missed opportunity. You know, I think if they did, it would be a very interesting conversation. So basically, if 16 met Ada, it probably would have them have the revelation of like, but guys, what are you talking about? Goku is a fantastic guy. And it probably would have actually stopped them in their tracks. You know? They probably wouldn't have gone in their search for Goku. Or they would have stopped. Or be like it would have bought the Z Fighters some time. I would say.
Yeah.
They would have bought...
I think 16 wouldn't let 17 and 18 hurt Aether.
No.
So yeah.
No, I think that's how it would go. Okay, Logan R. What if they made a completely different song animation for the opening of DBZ? It would depend. If it was like, if it was a Chozetsu dynamic, it would be nowhere near as memorable. Because nowadays Chozetsu dynamic just sounds like the singer was bored, like really bored. It just does not pop. But
to remind our audiences, you know, outside of, you know, English-speaking countries, we in non-English-speaking countries have had vastly different experiences.
Haverok,
like Germany has chala het chala, but some of us had the French intro.
Link it. I know where you're going with it. Just link it.
I'm going to
check the link that Haverok will put in, and you'll be subjected to what he had to experience as a kid. Nene
from the very beginning of Saiyan saga all till the end of the
Oh, no escape. Nene Sword. What if Frieza was still Mecha Frieza when he went golden? Well, the thing is though, if that half of his body was mechanical, so really the mechanics would have probably the first time he went golden, the mechanics would not have been as strong as his actual golden part of him. So they would have had to have been like upgraded considerably. But yeah. So I think that's long and the short of it, really. It just depends. If the technical parts, techie parts of his body could keep up, then yeah, he'd be pretty powerful. and the stamina probably wouldn't been drain would have been near as profound. But I think that's pretty much it. Pyro the Gaming Spartan. What if Raditz went to Earth with Goku to hide after he got the message from Gine and suspected something was wrong when Planet Vegeta blew up? Okay. So basically, if Gine sent a warning message to Raditz and like say, "Sup Raditz, our planet got blown up," and it was from his mother, he probably might have gone like, "You know what? I don't like the sound of this. I'm gonna get out of here." And it would depend on whether Vegeta would allow him, but he'd have to escape.
I want to say something really quick. Fabian Cantu, your $5 super chat. The question was, what if Goku killed Vegeta on Earth during the Saiyan saga instead of letting him go? That was very early on. I don't know if you heard us, but I feel like we answered this question. If not, we can go ahead and we can answer it right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
because we pretty much like let's quickly do the Pyro one first. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just wrapping that one up, but basically,
yeah, let's
if
go
he
ahead and wrap
had,
it up.
It would depend on whether he would be able to escape, because otherwise, you know, Goku otherwise Vegeta wouldn't have allowed him to go, and he'd had to leave his scouter behind, like, and be like pretend that everyone's dead. So pretty much he'd have to escape if he was wanting to actually do it. But yeah. So Fabian Cantu's thing, what was it again?
It was what if Goku killed Vegeta at the end of the Saiyan saga?
Oh, okay. Well, this has happened quite a few times on What Ifs, but basically, if that happened,
Yeah.
The trip to Namek probably would have been less problematic, as it were. Probably because, you know, there's less Vegeta. You don't have to tippy-toe around Vegeta.
One of the other issues that you kind of face, though, is the fact that there would have been more enemies that would have caused a problem for
Yeah.
everybody, just because
Zarbon and Dodoria would still be around.
Zarbon and
Yeah,
Dodoria, and you'd probably wind up having to play the sound unless Goku
Let's play the
really managed to
sound.
kick some butt.
We'll play this time. Yeah, there you go. Alright. Vukodlak. What if Shin hadn't interfered in Gohan's fight with Spopovich and Yamu? Would Gohan have killed them both? Oh, most definitely. Oh yeah, no, they would have been toast. Totally. Like, Gohan would have been so apoplectic with rage, he would have destroyed them. Pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah, so...
100%.
That is, like... Sorry for Codluck if it's very short, but that's pretty much what he would do. Ice King 688. What if Goku was a Namekian instead of a Saiyan? Well, there's still potential of him becoming strong, but that would have happened through Namekian fusion. Through Namekian fusion, becoming the strongest warrior if he had the potential. So, it depends on that one. So, if he was, he could still be pretty strong, but yeah, that's pretty much...
That's until Nail shows up.
Yeah. Goku and Nail.
And tells him, hey, you can go and live back with us. Oh, cool, I want to see our planet. The end.
Now, I've just got to go for a second, but basically Master Riku has this next one. What if GT Goku had lost his memory when his age was reversed by the Black Star Balls? So, you two, take it away.
Yeah, I would tell Mas to play the sad music, but basically, maybe, like, Goku would stay on the Earth, probably, and they would, they would have to take Goten and Gohan out of fridge and actually utilize them in a decent manner. And by the time, I'm pretty sure characters like Dende, like Kibito Kai could get his memory back somehow. Could get him up to date with telepathy.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is that you have magically inclined characters, you have psychically inclined characters, you have characters who are outright healers, but you have to kind of ask yourself, what's memory made of at that point? And I think it's a little deeper than Dragon Ball's willing to go. But I mean, if Goku lost his memory, it might make for an interesting plot point, like that he only gets bits and pieces of his memory back with every Black Star Dragon Ball they recover, perhaps. Like, have it be an extra addendum to the plot. So the next one that we've got is Pizza 15X. What if Toei released GT 7 to 10 years later than its original air date? Which that would put it at around like 2006 instead of 1996, 1997. I think is when it came out.
The question is like, it wouldn't be the same product, but the question is, that like, would it still generate so much, dislike? Would Dragon Ball be so popular without it being such a continuous thing in the West? Because aesthetics of like early 2000s are already pretty different of aesthetics of middle 90s.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, and I do think that it would have been a bit ripe for the time, given that when you guys started TFS and the Dragon Ball Z abridged stuff in like at the early point of YouTube, right, Moss?
Well, a couple of years in, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that was around the time that people were feeling that lull and they were really craving that content, and then you guys started putting out DBZA.
Well, I know Saga has said on record a few times that basically we kind of kept it going until Kai kind of got traction.
Yeah, so I mean, if they'd have had the right mindset when they went into making GT and they released it around 2007, 2008 or whatever instead of the late 90s. It might have helped to carry interest in Dragon Ball a bit further, but I think the show would have still needed stronger writing and like a stronger direction, because even if it came later, GT's core like skeleton was very weak.
Yeah.
Okay. So right, Pyro the Gaming Spartan. What if Raditz got Guinea's mission when they went to Goku with Vegeta squad, like to colonize until they could take on Frieza? We pretty much actually covered this. I think you sent this message before. Basically, it's just the same thing. They went to Earth with Vegeta squad. Mostly went there to colonize. Oh no, it's a slightly different.
Like so they have the coordinates basically when Goku gets launched to Earth, and so they follow Goku to Earth. And they decide to basically make their base on Earth and maybe colonize, maybe hook up with some Earthlings, maybe get a few other Saiyans in the pipeline. Maybe those two, as I think it was Lanny put it in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie review, those two jobber Saiyans, random jobber Saiyans that we saw, maybe they'd survive. So you'd have like 6 true-blooded Saiyans and then maybe a few half-breed children.
Yeah.
During the timeline of OG Dragon Ball, it would be a tricky one. You'd have to use a lot of conjecture, but I mean it's an interesting world to dabble in.
No, that's true. Tempest Moss 1000. Hey Masako, I sent the one about Tao. This one is based on fan content, but what if Doru from Dragon Ball SQ and Ranch met? They have a common parent. I've not seen Dragon Ball SQ actually, so I can't really comment.
Neither have I.
Nope.
But I will certainly give it a read. So thank you for the recommendation, Tempest. But yeah, I'm sorry, I can't honestly ask that and give you an honest answer. But I will promise to give that a read. I will give it a read, Tempest. So very much thank you for the recommendation. Nene Sword, what if Bulma joined the Galactic Patrol? She kind of already has. She basically just gives Jarko intel and Jarko takes the credit. So she's kind of like the researcher pal of Jarko, but Jarko is really not gracious and
basically just takes the credit because it's a super elite. Who's going to believe a very low-level planetary being?
You are a loose cannon, Bulma.
One more reason for me to dislike Jarko.
Pretty much. Blake Diamond. What if
I want to watch Vegeta beat him up.
It'll come. Blake Diamond. What if Chi-Chi wished away Gohan's Saiyan half? Oh. I don't think... I don't think she'd do that. Because that is... Well, first off, I don't think that's possible. Because that's like saying, oh, what if Krillin became a Saiyan? That's like taking away DNA.
Let's work from the concept that she can. Okay, let's work from the concept that, like, using the Dragon Balls, she can. You'd have to be presented with a very unique situation. First things first is, okay, so what makes her so concerned about his Saiyan half? Well, it's probably his rage issues, right? So you'd have to have a situation where maybe a doctor, maybe a psychologist, kind of like addresses some of this stuff with Gohan and kind of tells Chi-Chi there's a lot of pent-up rage in there. It probably like comes from his father's side. It could be a genetic trait, given what you've told me about the Saiyans. And maybe Chi-Chi gets so worried that she chooses to wish away the Saiyan half, and it causes problems further down the line. Like maybe Gohan himself feels betrayed by that aspect. Maybe even Goku gets a little bit angry because she didn't ask Gohan how he felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
That would always be an interesting situation for me. Is I always like it when Goku gets like legitimately angry.
On a
about
thematic
something.
level.
Yeah, on a thematic level especially. Like one of the few really good things I enjoyed about the Goku Black arc, for example, is the sheer rage that he expressed at being told how Black killed Chi-Chi and Goten, and he flips on him, and it was so good. I'd really like to see that sort of expression by Goku in that sort of situation. So I think it could be done, but it is a little bit more psychological, I think, than typical Dragon Ball content would be.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say in more typical Dragon Ball fashion, she would do it because she didn't want Goku to risk his life anymore. She would gather the balls, and at the last moment, she was like, "No, I cannot do this to myself."
No.
She would resign at the last moment when everybody would be around her. She's like, "No, like, I cannot take a part of himself from my son." Essentially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Heartless Fang. What if the other directional Kais were canon? Would they be angry with King Kai for Goku inciting the TOP? Everybody was. Everybody was angry at Goku for doing that.
King Kai was angry at Goku.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone was.
Even though, like, in that regard, he was kind of make a scapegoat. I can't believe I'm defending Goku, but he was kind of make a scapegoat in this scenario because they planned to do it anyway. Kinda. So.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is that everybody who wants to use that defense brings up, oh well, they were already planning to do it anyway. But it's like, yeah, except they have no concept of time. Whatever plan they had in place, because they're deities, ageless deities, it could have happened 2 years from then. It could have happened 2 million years from then. So it doesn't matter. In the here, in the now, Goku is responsible.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess you're right in that regard.
Yeah, so pretty much that, yeah. Isaiah Fraser, what if Chi-Chi got a divorce? Well, it would cure her hunger, if that's what Goku thinks it is. Goku thinks it's a food.
Oof.
Well, if marriage is a food, then divorce must be a food.
Oh my gosh. Well, divorce would be the dessert because it comes after the food.
And it sounds a bit like dessert.
We have very morbid humor today. Every single one of us.
Basically, if she did, it would probably mean that at that point, like, Goku would have no custody over Goten. And Gohan would have, like, there would have been no fighting, no training, ever. Pretty much.
If Chi-Chi divorced Goku, I can tell you exactly what would happen. 3 words. It's Yamcha time.
Oh, it's Yamcha time. Oh, yes, of course.
It's Yamcha time.
Because that's what it was. Oh, yeah. That's true. Oh, yeah. Let's move on. Seton Tube. What if Cooler finds Z Broly, Z Paragus, and his army on new planet Vegeta? This creates a new Cooler Empire. Well, it depends. If Paragus decides to flip the switch and make the trap, like, on Cooler. Like, say, "Ah, yes, Lord Cooler. If you just stay in this castle for a while, yes." It's like, hey, if I can't destroy Frieza, then if I can destroy the brother of Lord Frieza, that's good enough for me. So pretty much, I don't think that'd be a Cooler Empire. It would pretty much be like, Cooler would just be like, okay, yeah, sure. He wouldn't have thought about that. He would have no Saiyan would have ever dared to, like pull a fast one on that. So that's the way I'd do it. Master Riku, what if Cooler was the black sheep of the family? Well, I think if they ever did make a movie, I think that's what they would do.
Yeah.
They would make Cooler like he's even worse than Frieza. Like King Cold thought he was too evil to like be effective, but basically would be destructive at every single point. So
Cooler shows up. First thing he says, "We live in a society."
yeah,
Oh my.
and dances down some stairs.
Or you know,
I'm sorry.
or he blasts Draco. You get what you deserve.
It's like, and then basically, and then we just have the whole thing of like, you know, Frieza would go, "Enough from the clown." It's like, oh, whoa, let's not blow this out of proportion.
Master Riku says, "What I meant by black sheep was what if he was good."
Oh right, okay. Oh, well, that's not as fun.
That's
I
not
was
quite
like-
as fun.
And then Frieza, you think you can steal from me and walk away? Yeah.
I could, yeah. Again, like I cannot imagine him as good, but I could imagine him as a Black Knight type.
Oh,
of
okay. So
character.
basically, if he was not as good, well, oh, then they'd consider him a
He
failure.
was like make him still evil, but like lawful evil, honorable.
Well, he could have his own squadron, but like it would be nowhere near as big.
Yeah.
And it would only
Even
be...
if he didn't,
Oh yeah, sorry. Go on.
go ahead.
No, you go on.
I was going to say, even if he didn't have his own squadron, I see him more like being, if you think of the Z Fighters as like a Sentai group, Cooler would be the sixth ranger. Like, he's not necessarily like good per se. He has his own agenda, but he does show up to help like every now and then, especially if his brother gets involved, you know, because
I'd
then
say
it's personal for
He'd
him.
be more like the Gold Ranger from Zeo, like from space.
Yeah, the Gold Ranger. Yeah, definitely.
Quick as
Yeah.
lightning, strong as steel. Watch out, danger, he's for real.
Or he was
Try-
called.
Triforia.
No,
You know when lightning strikes, it's Lord Cooler.
pretty much.
or you know, or just old school gold cooler dragon Zord, and he would be like. "Do, do, 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 do."
Mm,
Oh, I love the the Dragon Dagger theme.
yeah. Layla 109. What if Goku and Vegeta had daughters instead? Well, Vegeta did have a daughter, and that was Bra. If Goku, well, we gotta think about this as 80s, 90s stereotypical Japan. Like, Chi-Chi would have been less likely for Goku to teach martial arts, but I think Goku would have still done it anyway.
And I
Yeah.
believe Toriyama would have write her as a tomboy. Who would,
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah, because, you know,
Right.
Toriyama
yeah.
can't
She
write
would,
girls.
she would be a tomboyish type, rebelling and butting heads against her mother,
Yes.
and
And actually
be-
find solace in Goku. A
Yeah,
good catharsis, almost.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Matthew Gaylord,
Yeah.
do you think Bibbidi was a Moro follower or an apprentice? You know what's really funny? Everyone thought that it was a theory that was actually the case. Like, you know, the M was for Moro.
Yeah.
That was a good theory.
Margin.
I don't think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true, though. It's the margin
yeah.
symbol.
Yeah.
But it was a cool theory when it lasted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't think so.
Well, if you think of it, because you know Ma Jin, right? That's supposed to be a play on the idea that Boo is this genie-esque creature, right?
Yeah.
But if you think of Ma Shin, it could also be a situation similar to like a like an evil truth or an evil god.
Mm.
And if you think about that, you can almost classify Moro as something similar to that, as
Okay.
this world eater force that fought against the Kais. He himself could have been classified as Ma Shin or Ma Jin.
Okay.
So maybe the M does have a double meaning there.
Maybe he
but who
was
knows?
an indirect inspiration. It was an
Mm.
indirect inspiration to create that whole Majin cult.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Arcadianite. Hey guys, love your work. What if Goten was allowed to train with Goku on Beerus' planet? Like he learns how to use God Ki like his dad and Vegeta. It would depend on the reason. Like if Goten just really wanted to come, and like Goku said,
Mhm.
sure, you can come one time. And like, I don't think he'd learn how to use God Ki there and then, but at least he'd understand how it works. Pretty much.
It would be interesting to give Goten something more. You know, just like it would be interesting to give any character that isn't Goku and Vegeta more. But I think that of all of the characters, as far as like the children of the later generations go, I think Goten is probably the one who is the most spiritually prepared as a person, as an individual, for something like God Key training or even spirit training. I think that Goten has a ton of untapped potential, and it's a real bummer that we aren't seeing any of it because of how poorly Dragon Ball Super has utilized the kids.
Yeah. No, agreed. No, it's agreed. League of Fox. What if Master Roshi became immortal in his 30s and never stopped training and trained with Kami? We've had this one before. But basically, if he did, he would still become a hermit, and he would train with Kami. But at the same time, he probably would be very tempted. His lustful desires on Earth would be very great tempted. But if Kami was able to at least beat that out of him, then, you know, that could be interesting. Like, if he was able to, like, convince... Because Roshi is capable of actually eschewing his desires. We've seen it happen now, miraculously. But basically, if it just happened then, it could happen. I just think he'd become stronger, because he'd apply himself more to martial arts. Asalis. What if Bardock, upon receiving these visions, instead decided to go with the Sun to Earth? No more visions plague him afterwards either. I think they still would. Basically, if he saw these visions and he internalized them and say, I'm just gonna get out of here. It's like, I'm just gonna take this thing and go with my son. It's like, well, basically, I think we've talked about this before. He would take Kakarot to Earth. He probably wouldn't stick around, because eventually he'd realize this place full of weaklings. There's nothing to do here. But I'll find this. We'll land here. There's this old guy. Can you look after this kid? I'll be back. Don't you dare hurt him. I'll come back and I'll kill you. So I'm
going back to buy some milk, some space milk.
Well, and if you think about it, if Bardock received a vision, right? If Bardock receives a vision and decides to go with Goku, now that we have Gine fully canonized, then what we would probably wind up getting is what I noticed a lot of people want, is a situation where Goku, Gine, and Bardock are all together on Earth. And I could see it being a situation where if Bardock envisions his son as being the one who, when he grows up, is going to defeat Frieza, right? I think his primary onus at that point would be very similar to Paragus, in the sense that he would think that I need to train this child to become powerful enough to defeat Frieza. And so they would, first off, they would land on Earth. Goku wouldn't hit his head, so he'd already be pretty ferocious as far as personality goes. And I think Gine would try very hard, because she's got that kind heart. I think she would try to mother him and try to smooth those rough edges off of Goku's personality. But I think what would happen is that Bardock would become so invested in his vision of the future that it would probably cause a problem in Goku's development, and Goku would become bitter about it.
Yeah.
And it'd be an interesting thing to explore.
Yeah. Isaiah Fraser, what if Raditz was isekai'd into Attack on Titan, still keeping his Saiyan self? Well, if that were the case, he could fly, so you wouldn't need the 3D gear. So you wouldn't have to worry about the tanks and going clink, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But no, Raditz would just probably blast the Titans into pieces. And also, he could fly, so he could literally just... The Colossal Titan, all these Titans wouldn't be able to keep up. They can't fly. Or at least, some can't, as far as I can tell. But basically, he'd be a really big asset. Like, maybe the Earthlings wouldn't have received that grim reminder. Raditz would have been their savior. Raditz would have been the great Raditz and all that stuff.
Oh, he would so much take that. He would so much.
Oh, he would. He'd lap it up.
Yeah. The real question is how monstrous would it be if Saiyans got a hold of Titan shifting abilities?
Oh god. Oh jeez. Cameron Heaton, can you continue? What if Future Trunks was stuck in the past after his fight with Frieza? What if Saiyan tails always regenerate, but it takes 24 hours? Well, if Saiyan tails regenerate, you would probably, after a day, well, you'd have to give up. There's no point. You just have to make sure they have a pair of sunglasses on them at all times.
Yeah.
And as for the future Trunks are stuck in the past, I don't think... I don't want to continue that one because, realistically, Trunks wouldn't stay in the past because he'd be... We've talked about this earlier. He'd be leaving his, like, people... He'd be leaving Bulma, Roshi, and the submarine behind. He'd be leaving everybody behind to, like, basically die. And it'd be like...
Well, the only way it would work is if something happened to his time machine. But, like, we know for a fact that when Trunks arrives to defeat Frieza and King Cold, right? He's got the time machine on him in a capsule. So, okay, so let's assume that in this scenario, the time machine has to get broken somehow. So Frieza manages to get off like a lucky punch or something, or a lucky shot even, or maybe even one of the mooks because their power level is so low. Like Trunks didn't pay enough of attention to him, and maybe he goofed up that initial bit where he downed all of those enemies. And the mook gets a shot off, and it hits the container that holds the capsules. So the time machine's now busted. Well, now he's like, well, shoot. The only way that I'll be able to get back to the future is to repair the time machine, but it could very well have just been vaporized. So what does he do at that point? Well, he has to try and avoid changing history too much, which would probably be a little difficult. And at the same time, though, he also has the potential to get a lot stronger. Because now he's got 3 years worth of waiting that he has to do, that he's forced to do until the androids show up. So they actually probably would have had an easier time with the androids, but the problem would have ultimately been that Trunks would have been stuck and he would never have had closure with regard to what happened to his time and whether or not they even succeeded.
Yeah, okay. Isaiah Fraser's next. What if Frieza got fat? Like, morbidly obese? Random. Not really. Well, the thing is, though, no real being gets really fat, because the fact is, though, you have all this energy, you're burning it off extremely quickly. You would not get obese, but if he did, then he'd have to be really lazy. And he'd be in his, like, Jetsons pod all the time.
I don't really think that he's capable of going.
That's the thing. It's not possible in terms of ki of output. But if it was, he'd be just like this. He'd be basically, wow, now look at that. There's someone more of a lard ass than me. I didn't think that was possible. Neither did I, Lord Guru. Hey, less of that back chat. There you go. Dark Cloud Alpha. What if Goku learned the Wrathful form at some point in Dragon Ball? He did. It's called Super Saiyan 4. Basically, Wrathful form nowadays is the modern day equivalent of Super Saiyan 4. Like, that's unique to Broly because of the fact his time on Vampa. He was able to absorb the power of the Uzara into his regular form, and that's how he got it. But basically, if Goku was able to learn somehow how to do it, he probably find it very difficult to control, because Broly found it difficult to control. And, yeah, I think that's it. Nene Sword, April Fool's one. What if Goku's pod landed in Penguin Village? Well, he and Arale would be friends immediately, pretty much. Yeah, this really strong android that can crack a planet in half.
Cool, I want to do that!
Pretty much. He'd just be allowed to do that. Futo. What if Goku somehow had learned instant transmission before he met Bulma for the first time? Like, how would it change the story? Oh, irrevocably. He would just say,
hey, where's this next Dragon Ball?
over there, K, boom. But then again, at the same time, would it work? Because instant transmission requires a certain amount of ki. Everyone's ki at that time is very low. So it'd have to be like, unless it was an instant transmission, you could like read people's ki around your level. So like maybe if someone was too weak, you couldn't read it. It would depend. But if it was on the same planet, then maybe. Yeah. see how that goes. But it would change the story considerably in terms of time. The Pilaf army wouldn't be able to keep up. SM down H. What if Chi-Chi died right after Gohan's birth? Oof. Ow. Well, there'd be no studying, that's for sure. There'd be no studying.
There would be studying. I think Goku. Would...
There'd be some, but it wouldn't be ruling. Wouldn't be ruling Gohan's life.
Goku would try his best, but I think he would ask Bulma to help him.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think Gohan would just end up being an average student.
Yeah.
My name's Son Gohan, and I'm your typical average high school student. And suddenly, this transfer student Videl showed up. Pretty much.
Goku would have to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goku would have to work. Yeah.
Gohan as a rom-com protagonist.
Yeah.
Except this time he was the transfer student. John Coleman. What if Bulma and Chi-Chi wish to become a Saiyan in between Dragon Ball and DragonBallZ? Oh, yes, the Bolchi thing. Yeah. But basically, again, it's very difficult to say whether Shenron could actually do that. But saying it they could, it would only because they'd want to understand what... Well, actually, no, between Dragon Ball and DragonBallZ, they don't know. They don't know about it. They don't know about Saiyans. So they don't. But unless they wanted to be like Goku, and use the same technicality I did with in the Krillin became a Saiyan thing.
Also, our FAQ video deals with...
Check the FAQ.
What if X would like to
So yeah, John, check out the FAQ. It's on this channel. Erebus Avalon? What if Trunks was the current reincarnation of Link from the Legend of Zelda series? Well, he does do a... Yeah, because he does have a sword. Well, he'd be certainly a lot more mute, that's for sure. And he'd have to have a shield.
Would that make Zamasu Ganon?
Yes, Zamasu is Ganon. It pretty much
now I want fan art.
The legend of Torunksu, the time machine of time. Tempest Master 1000. Here's another. What if Toa had already created Mira by the Boo Saga? You know, Deborah saving Babidi. If it's bad, also play haha from The Simpsons. So basically, that's better. So what if Toa already created Mira? Well, I'll play the sound. Basically, she'd have been like saying, "Father, what are you doing? Like, why are you serving this mook?"
Brother.
Sorry, I got it mixed up. But basically, she'd be laughing her head off. It's like, you're really, really paying attention to this little pipsqueak. And then basically, who are you calling a little pip? Basically flicks him away. It's like, oh my god, I thought no one would shut him up, sister. You didn't have to do that. I was trying to corrupt his system from within. Yeah, sure. There'd be just sibling rivalry and Deborah, shut up, sis, oh my god. That'd be funny. If, like, the two strongest demons in the demon realm are just basically squabbling siblings.
Also, for some reason, I really wanted some French fries when I was looking at him, okay?
Yeah. Master Riku, what if Queen Cassava was off-planet at the time of Planet Vegeta's destruction? Our Queen Cassava. Well, basically, if she was off-planet, well, it'd be interesting to see whether she actually tries to find, like, her baby boy. But then again, she probably wants to try and lay low because, you know, if you're the queen of King Vegeta, the queen of King Vegeta, that'd be something else. That'd be a plot twist for later for Toyotaro to wheel in, maybe.
Damn.
Yeah. Isaiah Frieza, what if Yajirobe was Dr. Wheelo's target? Oh, so basically, the world's strongest is Yajirobe, which in theory is possible.
Yes.
Because technically, he's way stronger than Roshi at the time of world's strongest. Like, who is the world's strongest man? Who are you questioning? Yajirobe, honestly. And then basically,
hey there, I'm Yajirobe, what's up? I am here for your pantry.
So basically, he doesn't have food.
Nope, you don't have gut food. I'm bouncing later.
So basically, he probably would have actually done well against the Bio Warriors. Like,
yeah, probably
handled fairly well because Goku was able to handle them easily in his base form and then whoop them in Kaioken.
I'm almost tempted to write what if Yajirobe was the main character.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
We'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yajirobe's saga. Yeah.
The Guardian Tree. What if future Trunks didn't make a second trip to the present? They only got his warning. What if Ox King was a Z fighter? Apparently his power level was 900. Well, if he was a Z fighter, the Ox King would have destroyed pretty much King Piccolo, and he would have been a really good asset against Raditz. He'd be very handy. And if Trunks didn't come for a second trip to the present, yeah, that probably would have been a problem. Because there would have been nobody to stop Vegeta getting up to silly buggers.
Well, it's not like Trunks was super successful
I
keeping
know, but at
Vegeta
least
from getting up to silly buggers.
he was able to at least stop it for a little bit, at least.
Yeah, that's true.
Monster,
Credit where credit's due.
Yeah, Monster Land. What if when Goku drank the Ultra Divine Water, it turned him into a Nikari-like Broly? Power boost times 10 than the rest of the transformations later. Well, if theories are meant to be believed, the Ultra Divine Water is more a psychosomatic. It's a placebo. So basically...
Yeah, it's a placebo.
If Goku believed it gave him more power, like that, and it gave him, that much power, imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
If it would be like, oh my god, it actually made him 10 times stronger because he believed. Because he gotta believe! Oh, no, he would have completely destroyed Piccolo. And then basically, Kami would say, "Ah, yes, Goku. The Ultra Divine Water wasn't actually something. The power was within you." And then Goku would have said,
Well,
"No, Yashiro."
Oh my god, that's so corny.
And Mr. Popo is like, have you guys seen my dragon? I think I put him somewhere in the golden tower.
A literal gallon.
Like,
but I think that also it would have led to a situation where Raditz wouldn't have even been a threat.
no.
Because knowing that Goku's power level in canon was above 300, if he had an Ikari power boost, it would have put him over 3,000. That means that Piccolo's not a threat, Raditz isn't a threat, Nappa is more or less just a challenge, still threatening, but not nearly so much as he is to every other Z fighter in canon.
Well, they're basically Raditz. If Raditz said, "Oh, come with me, brother," Goku would have gone, "No." "Oh, okay, bye."
I can tell that you're really serious about this, so I'm going to give you some time to think about it, and I'll be back in about a year. Yes, a year.
And they just go and they just run off.
I'm walking off now. I'm doing a step. Now I'm doing another step.
He gets to his spaceship and he immediately goes,
Yeah.
"Vegeta, Nappa, I need you to get here right now."
Alright, Matthew Gaylord. How different would Gohan be in Buu onward if the A beats Super Perfect Cell mercilessly to death, or Cell didn't regen after he exploded, so no closure after? Well, basically, Gohan would have kept training in case Cell did show up. So basically, he'd keep on training, and we've talked about that before. He'd be really strong. Master Riku. What if Goku met a blind Saiyan who could hold his own in a fight? He'd be very interested to try and learn how a Saiyan can, just, read and see ki, to use that himself. He'd probably find some useful assets from that. League of Fox. What if Master Roshi became immortal in his 30s and never stopped training to become a guardian? Yeah, we've done this one before. Literally in the stream earlier. But basically, yeah, okay, sure. He trained with Kami, but becoming Guardian of Earth, nah. He loves being on Earth too much, even if he is a hermit. All of his earthly lusts and desires. Yeah, Kami would have just seen right through it.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea.
For good.
No, he wouldn't have used that. He'd have been watching people when he shouldn't. Matthew Gaylord again. How different would the Dragon Ball story be if Planet Vegeta and Sadala existed at the same time, akin to Vulcan, Sadala, and Romulus Vegeta from Star Trek?
Oh, that's interesting.
Ooh, that is interesting because it basically creates a situation where if you've got you'd have had Vegeta, a villainous Vegeta, but you would have probably had a heroic, let's say like a Kaba, or maybe even Kaba's mentor, who doesn't fight by the time of Dragon Ball Super, on the good guy's side, and you'd have that kind of direct, maybe it's a Cold War, maybe it's a hot war between good Saiyans and evil Saiyans, essentially.
Okay, cool. Nice one. Andres Morera again. What if the big Getaster merged infected a Boo, merged Suno or Urine? Hopefully good, right? So what, like, if Boo absorbed Suno, and then the big Getaster merged...
It's the second time when we have Boo absorb Suno, like, okay.
Boo-no!
I think there's a weird movement somewhere.
I think some people have some interesting interests that they are trying to press upon us.
Well, basically, you'd have a metal Suno Buno.
Play the music. Play the music.
Yeah, let's play the music. Let's play the music and move on. Blake Diamond. What if Cell either A, found and absorbed the remains of androids 13 through 15, or absorbed android 16? Well, Cell can't absorb android 16 because he's wholly well, he can't absorb any of them because they're all mechanical.
Yeah.
So basically, if he found them, he'd be saying, "Hey, brothers, why don't you join and fight me?" No. Why on earth would we do that? And then basically...
Look at my trucker hat.
It's like, look at my trucker hat. Does that sound like I'd be listening to a literal bug man? And then basically...
What are you made of? Freaking metal?
Well, yes, actually. The
designation is... The designation is Android 13.
So basically, no, that would have been impossible because they're all mechanical. And literally, we saw it with 16. He tries to absorb 16. He's just like, "Ah, yes, little bug man. You may be big and strong, but you are dumb. Dumber than me." And then basically just like, no. Pretty much. Brendan Little. Which what-ifs outside of the flagship R&R, of course, would you guys consider to be your personal favorites? My personal favorite right now is what if Bulma trained like Goku. And when you see the next part, you will know why.
I really enjoy that one as well. I don't know though. I probably have to go with my favorite what if so far, at least from Masako's channel, because I've only got the one what if on mine right now. At least from Masako's channel, I kind of have to say that my favorite what if is definitely what if Raditz turned good, because without Dragon Ball R&R, like, I think my entire life would have been in a very different place. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that as a joke. Masako starting Dragon Ball R&R and me becoming a producer on that, and then later getting involved in all of this, super huge life-changing events.
Aww.
It's very much a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Hey. Haverok, how about yours?
Well, I have my soft spot for the good boy Cell. But I think what if Zamasu did nothing wrong is going to me.
That is a very good one, yeah. Nah, I think they're very good choices. Master Riku comes up with, bear with me, for the sake of crossover, what if Goku had been raised by Simba and Nala? No, Goku would have eaten them.
If Goku were to be... if Goku were raised by Simba and Nala, well, I don't think he would be nearly so concerned about martial arts and fighting and all of that, because he'd be getting groomed to be the new king of Pride Rock in the future.
Well, I just can't wait to be king.
I love the idea of it still being this humanoid, because Saiyans are humanoid. I love the idea of Goku just dressed in pelts or like a Tarzan situation, acting like a lion, walking on all fours and stuff like that, as if he is part of this animal universe, and everyone else in the environment, everyone else is an animal.
And they accept it. Like, I just imagine Rafiki holding baby Goku, and it's like the most hilarious thing.
Oh my gosh, fan art of Rafiki holding up baby Goku instead of Simba.
With a confused expression, like, what is this child? It's like, no, for once, I actually don't know the way. Something like that. And then Riku comes up with will there be a sequel saga to what if Bardock convinced the Saiyans? Right now, no. Because I am leaving that alone, because it's pretty much reached a really good conclusion. Pretty much. So, that's long and the short of it, Riku. Sorry about that. There are certain what ifs that need to have, like, an ending. Because otherwise I've got like 30 what ifs, and I need to end some of them, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Blake James, what if Chi-Chi won the World Martial Arts Tournament due to Ox King's 900 power level? Okay, so basically if the Ox King's power level was transmitted somehow to Chi-Chi. If she won, Goku would be like really impressed and be like, okay, you've actually got my respect. And I think he would actually be attracted to her even more. Like, you know, instead of thinking, okay, I kept a promise, he'd be actually, that's kind of hot. That's hot.
Say the cell line. Say the cell line. You know you want to in Goku's voice. Say the cell line.
Ah, yes. Power up, Chi-Chi. Let me feel it. Now
That
you're
wasn't
talking
the one I
my...
was thinking of.
Oh, which one?
First you had my attention, but now you have my erection.
Oh, that's it. First you got my attention.
No, first you got my attention, but now you have my erection. You mean...
Oh my god, that's so wrong coming out of Goku.
Yeah.
Matthew Gaylord, what if Boo never listened to Barbody? Would he reseal him? So if Boo never listened to Barbody, so from the start. So basically, Barbody,
Ah, yes, Martin Boo is now my master. Boo, no, run faster! You're going back in the ball now.
he would keep trying, but if he wouldn't listen, he'd just go, okay, you're going back in the ball. But Boo would have just destroyed him. He would just cut him in half. Like, just go,
I don't know, cute potato head man. Bye!
pretty much literally that. Seton Tube. I did check out the DeviantArt page. Apparently, there is a What If Gine fan club on DeviantArt. And that is cool. That is really awesome. I had no idea there was one. So, yeah, if you want to go and check it out, I'll find the link. I think that's what you've been referring to. But yeah, so let me check. And I also a picture of Maita by Mystery White Flame. So that one too. That was always awesome. So
Yep.
yeah, yes, I do have a DeviantArt page from when I was drawing images when I was 15. So yes, and that is the fan club for anyone who is curious. Yes. There we go. So basically, next one is Master Riku again. What if the first Super Saiyan God had turned the Super Saiyan race good? Well, the whole point of that, Yamoshi was trying to destroy the ancient evil Saiyans. So that was the mission. It just failed miserably. And I
like to the theory that in Universe 6, like, essentially they're Yamoshi one, and that's why they're good.
Yeah, so basically, if you want to look at that, look at Universe 6. That's pretty much, in theory, what happened. Like, there was an ancient Saiyan, Super Saiyan God, who did beat the ancient evil Saiyans, and they became a benevolent police force. Yep. So look to that, really. Lars Wolfblade. What if Frieza went to Earth instead of Namek to obtain the Dragonballs? So basically, if Frieza just thought, oh, these Earthlings have Dragonballs, well, he would have gotten to the planet, found out that Piccolo was dead, and he'd be like, oh. He would have blown up the planet out of frustration.
No, I think he would... Well, okay, he would blow it up, okay.
He'd have blown it up out of frustration because there's no Dragon Ball. So, well, there's no point. I basically have wasted a lot of space fuel on this. Bye. Like that. Blake James. What if the Son family trained in the Room of Spirit in time for 4 months before Namek? Chi-Chi wouldn't want to miss Gohan growing up or be strong enough otherwise. Well, the thing is that the Room of Spirit in time wasn't known to anybody, and Goku was in hospital. And he was, like, recovering, so no one really occurred to ask him. But then again, you know, Mr. Popo knew about it. He didn't tell anyone. Yeah, because why would I? You know, I barely like these people. So, pretty much. Unfortunately. Play James again with what if Krillin trained with Kami when Goku did? So basically, if Goku, like, said, I want to train, but Krillin, you come along too. I think basically...
That would be interesting.
It'd be interesting, sure.
Yeah, they'd make more gains, because we already know that Goku and Krillin both are the type of people who make very good gains when they have a training partner. Goku's kind of like ambidextrous to sort of in that sense, or multi-talented in that sense, in that he can train both individually or with a team and make good gains. But I think that if Krillin and Goku had trained with Kami, then it would have spurred them on to continue training into that time skip, the 5-year time skip between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. And I think both Krillin and Goku would have been stronger when Raditz showed up. And that initial bit would have probably played out a little bit differently. especially if Krillin told Goku like outright, look, Goku, I understand that you're trying to keep me safe because I've already died once, but you're my best friend, and I'm not gonna let you fight that guy all by yourself.
Okay. That sounds like something you would do. Cool. The Baby Seal Studios, thank you very much for your contribution. Revolt, we'll play it again. What if in the Dragon Ball universe they didn't have abilities to fly? Oh. Play the sound. So basically, say for example, it wouldn't really matter too much in Dragon Ball because nobody really could fly then. In Z, Piccolo wouldn't have been able to fly to warn everybody about Raditz, so he wouldn't have been able to get there in time.
Frieza would be comically over-reliant over his hover chair, aka Baby,
oh yes, of course.
Baby Yoda.
Yeah, no, definitely. Baby Frieza, baby Frieza.
I feel like when we went into space, we would have seen less emphasis on like warriors with blasters on their arms and the ability to fly and individually like super powered people. And I think we would have seen more emphasis on more almost like space opera elements in that like Frieza's force would have probably been composed of fighters and battleships and stuff like that, space battleships.
Yes.
And so you get into a much more space opera, space punk situation once you actually get out into the universe.
Toriyama would have ripped off even more of Star Wars, pretty much.
At the same time, it would be more generic,
Oh yeah, because Toriyama, yeah. Okay, moving on. Fluent Inert. What if Yajirobe became a serious Z fighter? What if the Earthlings kept pace with the Saiyans? Well, Sophie, you do a what if about, Krillin having a power up to keep up with the Saiyans somewhat. So
yeah, and the other humans do begin to learn it once they finally get wished back to life after the Frieza saga. So if you want to see a little bit of that, check out the What If Krillin Got a Power Up series over on my channel.
Yeah. So yeah, Fluent, I think that would answer your question. Vegeta, Prince of All Saiyans. What if Gohan was the main character after the Cell saga? Well, that was the intention of the Buu saga initially, but then they thought, oh, Goku's too strong and too important. Who's Gohan again? Pretty much. So basically, if they just stuck to their guns and Gohan was the main character, it would have the series would have ended with Ultimate Gohan beating Super Buu. That's where it would have ended.
Artistic integrity. If they'd have only had it.
What does integrity mean? So there you go. Alejandro
if
Gonzalez.
Only they'd had integrity.
Alejandro Gonzalez. What if Zamasu had been the North Kai of Universe 7 instead of Universe 10? How would Goku's Saiyan Saga training have gone? Well, the thing is, though, if Zamasu was the North Kai of Universe 7, there's no Goasu to give him that stupid lecture. So basically, Zamasu would have actually been a prodigal, and he probably would have been actually much more benevolent. Like,
he still would be arrogant. Like, it would be much more on the training would be much more.
Yeah, but he wouldn't. Well, he wouldn't hate mortals because Goasu wouldn't have given him that rubbish lesson.
I think he would dislike Goku, but he didn't hate mortals.
He would tolerate Goku because he's useful, and that's the only reason, pretty much. Yeah. Red Max. What if Majin Vegeta gained the power to use magic as a side effect after he gets brought back to life to fight Buu? Okay, so basically if he absorbed some of Barbody's magical potential, it'd be interesting. Yeah, but
Vegeta wouldn't really use that.
No, he wouldn't use it, but it'd be interesting if he found somehow to use it other way. But other than that, I don't think he would use it realistically. Yeah. Blake Diamond. What if Arale joined the Z Fighters after Raditz's arrival? Or what if Goku landed at Penguin Village? Well, we've done the Goku landing at Penguin Village, but if Arale joined the Z Fighters, well, they'd win because basically Arale would just punch Raditz back out into space.
Is that your brother, Goku? Yeah, but he seems really mean. Yeah, he seems kind of mean. He can go by.
Your Raditz. Literally, Raditz would have just been like, oh my god, now I understand why Vegeta doesn't fight gag characters. Pretty much that. Seating Tube. What if Shin and Kibito were revealed to be Makaio Shin in the Buu saga? So basically if they were demons.
That it would almost have been an interesting plot twist if they came to Earth claiming that they were Kaioshin, right? And they were claiming that everything that they were doing was for the greater good.
And Babidi
But-
was a good wizard trying to awaken the Kai.
Or even like, let's say Shin claims that Babidi is attempting to free Majin Buu, but the truth is that he needed energy to keep Majin Buu sealed.
Oh, yeah.
and so what winds up happening is like the twist happens when they actually like get to Babidi's spacecraft, and it turns out that Shin and Kibito are actually in Makaio Shin, and they've been playing everyone for fools. It would at least give Shin something to do other than being like, oh, all the time because he's shocked at everything.
Well, I haven't lied to you. Actually, my second name is Shin. My first name is Makaio.
Let's move on. John Common, what if High School DxD and Dragon Ball Z were one?
I haven't seen it. I only know what it is from like memes and pictures and references that,
Horny
that
yet
pop up
smart
every now and then on
demons,
the
pretty
internet.
much. Yeah, it's devils,
Yeah.
but they're horny and smart. Pretty much.
Well, I was pretty much just gonna say, if it's anything like what I assume it is, it would just mean that every main character in the show would be a sexy anime girl instead. So
yeah, basically, like Goku would be like, ha ha, horny for y'all, instead of against Cell.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Okay. Seaton Tube, yeah, we about the DeviantArt thing, acknowledged. Master Riku, what if Goku trained under Grand Kai in Otherworld? He'd be very chill. Goku,
Hey guys, what's up? I've been training with the Grand Kai. He's a pretty cool dude.
Unless Grand Kai is a figurehead.
That's
also
true. That's
a
true.
possibility.
Yeah, pretty much. Brian Cubero, Jiro's lab wasn't found in the future timeline. What if his supercomputer self was still intact? It probably was. Like,
well, yeah, it had to have been, because essentially it's implied that the supercomputer managed to run through the rest of its processing in order to prepare the larval cell. Cell eventually breaks out of his pod, and either the supercomputer shut itself down after that because its primary objective had been completed, or Cell in his child form wound up inadvertently damaging the equipment on his way out the lab, essentially.
Babysitter, babysitter, babysitter. Sorry. No, basically it's true, because around that time, it's in the future timeline. It was about Cell should have been, gestated by then. So
I have plans with that in one of our what-ifs.
Okay, well, we'll keep that to ourselves for a moment. Philip Perkins, what if Chi-Chi didn't stop training? So basically, if she trained to impress Goku, and she says, I kind of like training, so I keep going. So basically, she'd have a better understanding about why Goku does what he does. So, a problem that
Gohan would have probably had a little bit of better control over his power by the time Raditz showed up. If Chi-Chi had continued to train with Goku, I think she would have been way more understanding and accepting of Goku training their child.
Totally.
Just as long as there was balance,
Yes.
between training and an education.
Yeah. Darth Blent, what if Goku was turned back into a kid at the beginning of Z and grew up beside Gohan? That probably would have been a bit more interesting and a bit more welcome than in GT. Like, basically, it was Goku growing up with his son at the same time. That'd be curious. Let's make a note of that, actually.
Poor Chi-Chi. Poor Chi-Chi.
Poor Chi-Chi, indeed. But there would be no Goten. There'd be no Goten, that's for sure. Red Dragon Force 2. What if Cooler and Bojack were canon because Spirit Bomb killed Frieza and Cell couldn't regenerate after blowing himself up? Different Boo arc, maybe? So basically, Spirit Bomb killed Frieza. Cell couldn't regenerate after blowing himself up. So basically, Bojack was there. Cooler was there. Maybe a different Boo arc? Hard to say. But the lead up, I think it requires a bit more thought. Philip Perkins, what if Goku and Bulma accidentally came across the idea of gravity training during Before Z? Well, basically, it would have to be Bulma having the thought process of, hey, if Goku's wearing weighted clothing, how about instead of that, I just create a world where it actually adds gravity.
So basically, it'd be like if I were fighting naked. Yeah, Goku, sure. Awesome.
So basically, it would have to be that thought process almost. SSJ3 Gohan. What if Piccolo Jr. stayed evil and when training Gohan corrupted him to be his evil servant? Check out my What If DragonBallZ Never Happened. That will answer your question entirely. Because that pretty much is what happens. Chance Thulin. What if they used Mafuba to beat the Saiyans? Well, the thing is though, at that time, Mafuba was not really seen as reliable because against King Piccolo, it wasn't useful. And also, at that time, it could have killed you in terms of using the energy, in terms of the powers. Nowadays, you can use it no problem because you've got plenty of energy. But back then, it's really risky and not a guarantee that it would work. So there's that. Master Riku. What if Gine was trained by Supreme Kai and was given his life force to return to her son when training was complete? So basically, if Shin just say, hey, you were so good, I'm going to give you the power of life. Well, he can't do that. Whis can do that. Supreme Kai would have to ask Whis for a favor, pretty much. And I don't think Whis would do it. Well, why would Whis do it?
And I don't think Shin knows about Whis.
Nah, exactly. But Shin doesn't seem to know anything, pretty much. So unfortunately, I don't think that'd be the case. Vegeta Black Art. What if Grandpa Gohan survived? Now, we've done this a couple of times before, but basically, if he did, he'd probably be around for a while as some kind of a piece of advice, and he probably would die after the Cell games, probably. Out of old age. Seton Tube. What if Goku finds Yamoshi in heaven or anywhere in the other world after he got killed by Cell? Possibility. If Yamoshi is the Super Saiyan God who's meant to be the good Saiyan, he probably might still have his body. Maybe.
Or, maybe. It is kind of implied that he might, he appeared in Goku. And since Vegeta also could get the Super Saiyan God, I think it is kind of implied that he lives in Goku and Vegeta.
Right.
Almost like a sort of reincarnation story.
Yeah, multiple reincarnation. I think that they both are. It is kind of implied that he might be their common ancestor, basically.
Okay.
That's funny because that shares a very distinct similarity to how Masashi Kishimoto wound up writing the whole thing about Naruto and Sasuke towards the end of Naruto, which would be hilarious because if that was kind of the idea that both Naruto or that both Goku and Vegeta make up two different halves of a power of the Super Saiyan God, right? That almost would be the exact same as Naruto and Sasuke making up two different halves of the power of the Sage of Six Paths, which would basically be Toriyama inspires Kishimoto, and then Kishimoto winds up taking from Kishimoto's stuff later on when he gets back into Dragon Ball.
It sounds like something he'd do. But yeah. Project Sixum. Zamasu Part 3 when? I think we'll have to give it maybe a month or so before we go back to that. But we will get back to that.
Yeah.
And there will be a song project along the way. Yes. Let's just say that. Because Zamas knows best.
Yes.
Chance Doolin again. What if Bulma had made the androids? Well, if she made the androids, she would have probably either got it from sampled them from consenting people for a start, if she'd even think about it, and also she probably would not use it to she'd have a motivation to use them to actually be good warriors and protectors, not to basically destroy people, pretty much. Ninja Zaku. What if Tarbell was evil? How could this affect the Saiyan saga or rest of the Z? Well, the trouble is, though, granted, you make Tarbell evil, but he's weak. So basically, he'd have to be smart. He would
be a Saiyan Pilaf, or he would be highly manipulative. He would be, a very Frost-like character.
Yeah, he would trick you. He would trick people. pretty much. Anime Guy 01. What if the future Trunks and the Goku Black Arc end up in another timeline or at a different time in the main timeline on accident? So, okay, so basically future Trunks programmed his ship to go to the past, and it was like a different past, or earlier or later or something like that. It'd be very inconvenient, and pretty much that'd be him screwed. Because if he did that, and he went to a timeline that they couldn't help, he'd have to come back, and he'd have no fuel.
Or he could go, you know, to the post-TOP timeline and, oh, hi, Trunks, oh, hi again, and Black gets blasted.
Oh yeah, so basically if they basically fought him then, they would have blasted Black immediately. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Arceus. What if using Ki to fly would be impossible? Well, we've covered this before, but basically it wouldn't be good. There'd be more reliance on like spaceships in generic spaceships and space battles, and trying to get around would be very difficult. And instant transmission, that would be a godsend. Having Goku having that would be a game changer. Like it'd be so important. And then Alejandro Gonzalez, kind of just for fun, what if Zamasu had badly worded his wish and Goku, from right after defeating Piccolo Jr., had ended up with Zamasu's body? So basically, if he became Goku Black at the Piccolo saga, he'd have this power, and he'd be really like.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that's so hilarious.
That's that for a lightning round.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, we are done. We are done at the 3-hour mark. So I think we're gonna cut this off. And I'd like to thank you, Haverok and Sophie, for your hard work.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching, everybody, and suggesting. And again, this all goes to supporting the channel, and we get some really good stories which can become videos in the future. So yeah, we've been going for over 3 hours. So yeah, this is a good way to kind of get in touch. But yeah, hope you all are doing really well, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And take care, everybody. And we shall see you again soon for tomorrow's What If. So do mark your calendars. There'll be a What If tomorrow. So good night, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
Good night.